the Selous Game Reserve boundary changes, the consensus resolution is distributed. And so I ask your attention. So now we move on to the decision 36.8b.43, Selous Game Reserve, United Republic of Tanzania, change of boundaries. So I now give the floor to IUCN.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are going to present the IUCN evaluation of the minor boundary modification proposal of Selous Game Reserve. You will find this evaluation on page 65, the English version of the IUCN evaluation report, and page 71 of the French version. Next slide, please. The property, as we all know, is one of the largest remaining wilderness area in Africa. It also contains a great diversity of habitats, making it a unique laboratory for the study of ongoing and relatively undisturbed ecological and biological processes at a very large scale. It was inscribed in 1982 on the National Criterion 9 and 10 and remains one of the best examples of such areas. Next slide, please. It is important to note that some of the population living in this particular World Heritage Site are among the best in the whole of Africa. And these have been one of the requirements.
Excuse me, may I interrupt you for the moment? You now present us what? State of conservation or boundary change?
I'm presenting the evaluation report of the minor boundary modification, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
We should have presented the state of conservation report, but that's not the case. Okay, next slide, please. Following the previous submission, the IUCN World Heritage Panel concluded that the requirements for approval of a minor boundary modification of the property were not met, and thus recommended that the committee not accept that proposal. The committee adopted a revised decision that referred the minor boundary modification and requested a number of points to be addressed, as outlined in decision 35.AB46. The decision also requested an advisory mission to the property, which was undertaken in September 2011 by 2 independent experts who were recommended by IUCN, including a specific expertise in assessment of the impact of uranium mining. Next slide, please. The revised proposal for a minor boundary modification is differently configured and comprises a large area, resulting in the excision of 41,286 hectares of land and a reduction in area of 0.8% of the current area of the property. While this appears to be a small area, the final version of the environmental impact assessment submitted by the third party also concludes that the reduction in the size of the property is a significant impact. It's important to note that 24% of all natural sites inscribed in the World Heritage List, which are 211 of those, are smaller in area than this excision. In relation to the, next slide, please. In relation to the impact of the outstanding universal value, it will appear clear that an excision of 40,000 hectares to create a uranium mine inside the current boundary of the World Heritage property could not be considered to not affect the outstanding universal value, since there will be inevitably some reduction in the values and the integrity of the property through direct, secondary, and cumulative impact. A number of stakeholders have also noted the potential social impact to local communities of this proposed reduction. Next slide, please. IUCN has noted that it considers the boundary modification to the World Heritage Sites, as defined in the operational guidelines to the Convention, should not be proposed for facilitating mineral and oil gas exploration and exploitation projects. In line with a number of decisions that have been adopted in previous committee sessions, including in this one, a particular decision on Ja Wildlife Reserve. On the other hand, this particular decision or way of action may open a dangerous precedent for the credibility of this convention. Any proposed changes to the boundaries of the World Heritage Site should be subject to procedures at least as rigorous as those involved in the nomination of the site, as required under the operational guidelines to the convention. IUCN also recalls the advice provided on this issue in the most recent World Heritage Center IUCN mission to the property in 2008, recommending that any amendments to the boundaries of the property should be considered in the context of the Selous ecosystem and in relation to the outstanding universal values. Next slide, please. We have included in this slide, we don't expect you to read it because I guess the letters will be rather small, but these are extracts from the environmental impact statement showing some of the potential impact to the property. IUCN therefore conclude that neither of the requirements of paragraph 163 of the operational guidelines are met by the proposal, and thus the proposal cannot be approved by a minor boundary modification process. IUCN conclude that if it is to be considered further, the proposal should be dealt with or through the procedure for significant boundary modifications, allowing the full and appropriate review process to be undertaken and advice provided accordingly to the State Party and the World Heritage Committee. IUCN considers that the proposal does not meet the requirements for approval as a minor boundary modification. The draft decision is set up in page 6 of both English and French version of document AB. However, I see that you all have a revised decision in front of you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, we have the amendment. It's a consensus amendment. So I propose to accept it without discussion. So please put on the screen the amendment proposed. It is written by Germany, but it is consensus amendment with very rigorous conditions put to the country in this regard. And we, as I understand, received a letter from State Party, and I would give the floor to Rapporteur to give us all indications. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Indeed, you have in front of you the proposed amendment presented by Germany, but also from other countries, India, Senegal, Ethiopia, Mali, Switzerland, Iraq, Qatar, and Colombia. As the chairperson rightly said, it's our understanding that this is a compromise text, which includes several provisions, as you can see. Following your demand, Madam Chairperson, you may want to ask the committee to approve this decision in its entirety. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before about the letter, Mr. Rao, take the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Just to confirm that I had received yesterday a letter from the Minister for Natural Resources and Tourism of Tanzania committing to undertake all the actions that are now reflected in paragraph 7 of the draft decision. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. So are any objection to adopt the decision 36.8b.43 like it was proposed by consensus? I see no objections. Adopted. Thank you very much. And it seems to me it would be proper to give the floor to the representative of Tanzania. Please, floor is yours. I don't see you. Please.
Madam Chairperson, distinguished members of the World Heritage Committee, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Government of the United Republic of Tanzania and on my own behalf, I would like to thank the members of the World Heritage Committee for having taken a decision to approve the boundary modification application of the Selous Game Reserve, a World Heritage Site. This property is one of the largest game-controlled areas in the world, covering over 51,000 square kilometers. The State Party faces significant conservation challenges in effectively managing the site. With the approval of the application for boundary modification, the State Party will be able to start exploiting the mineral wealth in this area, thus enabling it to acquire the requisite management resources and assist in addressing the numerous socio-economic challenges it faces. The State Party is undoubtedly committed to fulfilling her obligations under the Convention, and they would go the distance to ensure the sustainable conservation of the Selous Game Reserve. In recognition of the World Heritage Committee's decision today, the State Party would strive to strike a balance between conservation and development and continue to be a responsible custodian of this World Heritage Site. Madam Chair, the State Party has been anxiously waiting for this approval. The efforts expanded in the lead up to this decision involved painstaking work, which demanded a considerable amount of time of many individuals and state parties and members of the committee. I would be failing in my duty if I do not recognize the contribution made by all those who, in one way or the other, were involved in this process. The United Republic of Tanzania is highly indebted to the World Heritage Center for their assistance, to the IUCN experts who provided technical advice, made the visit to Tanzania, and to the World Heritage Committee members for their positive consideration of this application. Madam Chair, the United Republic of Tanzania would further like to take this opportunity to assure members of the World Heritage Committee and the entire international community and heritage stakeholders that it is committed to ensure proper management and preservation of this precious World Heritage Site. I thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now we once more move to the decision 7B.5. It's state of conservation of Selous Game Reserve. And I give the floor to IUCN. Oh, World Heritage Center, excuse me.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this State of Conservation report is in your document 7B Ed and on page 16 of the English version. It's about the Selous Game Reserve. We just discussed already the issue of the uranium mining. Apart from this issue, the World Heritage Center and IUCN note that multiple other threats are affecting the property's outstanding universal value. Poaching is a serious threat to the property. There has been a marked decline in the Selous elephant population from between 50 to 70,000 in 2006 to 38,000 in 2009. And illegal killing of elephants in the Selous ecosystem has increased more than threefold between 2006 and 2008. This surge in poaching seems linked to a decrease in funding as a result of the discontinuation of the retention scheme. The World Heritage Center notes that the State Party has made a commitment to restore the retention scheme via the creation of the Autonomous Wildlife Authority, and this was also included in the letter mentioned before. Furthermore, two dam projects, the proposed Stigler's Gorge hydropower dam inside the property and the Kidunda Dam, are likely to cause serious and irreversible damage to the property's OUV if they were approved. While the State Party report notes that no final decisions on these projects have been taken, there have been recent declarations by the Ministry of Energy in the press that the Stigler's Gorge Dam construction could start this year. The decision is on page 20 of the English version and page 21 of the French version of your document 7B Ed, and IUCN also has further comments to make on this property. Thank you.
Thank you very much. IUCN, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. So IUCN also notes the range of threats to this important site that have been outlined by the World Heritage Center. We note that the proposed Stigler's Gorge Dam reservoir, if it were to proceed, would cover 120,000 hectares of the property, flooding 2.4% of the entire area, and including key areas for rhinoceros as well as key habitat for several other species. And furthermore, the construction of the dam could open up a previously poorly accessible area with potential secondary impacts. We considered that if the Stigler's Gorge project were to be approved, and as long as the remaining actions requested by the committee at its 35th session and outlined in paragraph 6 of the draft decision on page 20 of the working document remain unimplemented, the property could soon meet the criteria for inscription on the list of World Heritage in Danger. We also note the importance of sustainable finances and emphasise the importance of the reinstatement of the revenue retention scheme to ensure adequate funding for the property's management to respond to the wide range of threats to it. And lastly, noting the decision just taken, there are clearly now a range of commitments in relation to the proposed uranium mining, which will also need to be the subject of further reflection in the SOC process as we move forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, floor is open. Are anybody wants to take the floor? I see nobody. Maybe Minister of Natural Resources of Tanzania can make some explications what it was reflected in the statement of IUCN and World Heritage Center.
Madam Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the United Republic of Tanzania has made a written commitment to the World Heritage Center on our dedication and commitment to conservation, and that to that effect, the country will not undertake any unilateral decision when it comes to such ideas and potential development. The country would not do anything that will cause harm to environment, neither following the due process when it comes to sustainable development of the area. Hence, I want to reiterate the commitment with regard to our letter that spelled all of these facts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If nobody wants to take any statements, so we directly go to the draft decision. Please, Rapporteur, take the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. As the Secretariat mentioned, you are up to adopt Decision 36-7B5, the State of Conservation Report of Selous Game Reserve. As we have not received any amendments, Madam Chairperson, you may adopt the whole decision.
Dear colleagues, are any amendments or reservation or objections? Germany, please, floor is yours.
We just heard the distinguished minister from Tanzania speaking, so I think we should say take note of the statement by the government of Tanzania.
Thank you very much. Please, Rapporteur, propose us where we can put this amendment.
Okay, Madam Chairperson, I will try to draft something quickly. We could say probably takes note of the statement of the Minister for Natural Resources and Tourism of Tanzania to the protection and the conservation of Selous Game Reserve. Is that okay for committee members? Yes, indeed. It should be the United Republic of Tanzania.
Germany, please take the floor.
I think we can make our life easier because it was the statement of a state party of the United, as the letter is stipulated also.
So, No. Of the state party or the Minister of Tanzania. So one or other it's necessary to put here. Of the state party to the protection and conservation of the Selous Game Reserve. If there are no objections, so I suppose we can adopt in the entirely the decision 36.7b.5 as amended. I see no objections. Adopted. Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, so we finished with all the points of state of conservation and nominations, and now we can straight go to the item 8C of our agenda. It's in the document WHC 12/36.com/8C. Update of the World Heritage List and the list of World Heritage in danger. So I invite Madame Rossler from the World Heritage Center to give us the update list of World Heritage in danger, taking into account the decisions taken during the examination of the state of conservation reports, as well as the nominations of properties on the World Heritage List. The update of the list will be presented orally by Madame Rossler from the World Heritage Center. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. This document is currently being distributed because this we could only prepare after you have taken your decisions, as you know. The committee at this session inscribed 26 new properties on the World Heritage List. 5 natural, 20 cultural, and 1 mixed. Following the debates on item 8B, 4 properties were referred and 3 deferred. At this session, in 17 cases, the committee changed the advisory body recommendation which was presented in the draft decision. 7 referrals became inscriptions. 4 deferrals became inscriptions. 2 deferrals became referrals. 2 non-inscriptions became referrals. 1 non-inscription became a deferral, and 1 proposal for non-inscription on an emergency basis was inscribed. The new overall figures of the World Heritage List indicate a total of 962 properties, of which 745 are cultural, 188 natural, and 29 mixed. Now, the breakdown by region is as follows of these inscriptions. Africa, 4 properties, Arab region, 3 properties, Asia Pacific, 8 properties, Europe and North America, 10 properties, Latin America and the Caribbean, 1 property. The state parties of Chad, Congo, Palau, and Palestine had their first properties inscribed on the World Heritage List. This committee allocated approximately 25 hours of discussion to examine 33 nominations, and this results roughly in 45 minutes for the discussion of each nomination. As a result of the decisions relating to the state of conservation of properties inscribed on the list and the decisions on nominations of properties to the World Heritage List, the committee decided to inscribe 5 properties on a list of World Heritage in danger, and this is what you have in your document 8C. Mali, Timbuktu, decision 36.7b.106. Mali, Tombovaskia, decision 36.7b.106. Palestine, birthplace of Jesus, Church of the Nativity and the Pilgrimage Route, Bethlehem, decision 36.8b.5. Panama, fortifications on the Caribbean side of Panama, Portobello, San Lorenzo, decision 36.7b.102. United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Liverpool Maritime Mercantile City, decision 36.7b.93. At the same time, 2 properties were removed from the World Heritage List in danger. These were the rice terraces of the Philippine Cordilleras in the Philippines and Fort and Shalimar Gardens in Lahore, Pakistan. Accordingly, and this you also have in your document in the last part, the removal, accordingly to these decisions, there are now 38 properties inscribed on the list of World Heritage in danger. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. It seems to me this document we don't need to discuss, even it is the matter for some thoughts, maybe. So now I propose to adopt the draft decision 36.8c.1, 36.8c.2, and 36.8c.3. I see no objections. Adopted. So now we have to move on to the item 9b. It's in document WHC 12/36.com/9b, follow up to the capacity building strategy. I would like in this regard to give the floor to the representative of ICCROM, who will present this document to us. Please, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. It gives me great pleasure to present to the committee the report on the implementation of the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy. Next slide, please. The committee will recall that last year you approved the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy. This capacity building strategy took into account 2 key shifts in paradigm, moving from focus on training of professionals to a much wider definition of what is capacity building, to include resource materials and other actions, and also a shift toward creating better relationships between cultural and natural heritage. In addition, this strategy was based on the 5 C's, which are the strategic orientations or objectives of this committee, and there are a series of objectives and activities that are foreseen within the strategy. It is also important to mention that the implementation is not meant to be only the implementation by ICCROM, but it is meant to be an implementation across a wide range of institutions at the international level, at the regional level, and at the national level. Next slide, please. It's my pleasure to report some of the progress that has been made in the last year on the implementation of this strategy. In the first place, I'm very happy to say that the World Heritage Center has just published this manual, if you can all see here, I'm holding up in my hand, which is a new resource manual on managing natural world heritage. This manual is located on the World Heritage Center's website in English at the moment, but it is undergoing translation and final layout in French, and it will be available in French also on the website very shortly. I'm also pleased to say that we are in the process of finalizing the management resource manual for cultural heritage sites, and that will also be available by the end of this year, in the coming year. In addition, there have been some other progress to report. ICCROM's General Assembly, for the first time, approved a new program for capacity building for World Heritage, and in particular, using World Heritage to further progress capacity building across a wide range of sites. We've also been carrying out a program with IUCN and in cooperation with ICOMOS and the World Heritage Center, which comprises a series of activities that you see on the screen, which included courses to strengthen the advisory body networks, a capacity building newsletter, and also some collaboration with universities. I want to call specific attention to the courses to strengthen the advisory body networks, because that was an issue that was raised by one of the delegations to the committee earlier in our session, and I wanted to point out that we are trying to address that, and regionally, Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa have already had activities. The Arab states has already had an activity, and we will be doing one in Asia later on this year. Next slide, please. In addition to that work, there's also been a number of other activities going on with capacity building. The Category 2 centers I actually don't need to report to you here because you've had a report already on relation to those Category 2 centers. But there are also obviously a variety of other capacity building activities with university programs, master's courses, and obviously also at the World Heritage Center, the periodic reporting process is in fact designed as a capacity building exercise with a series of workshops dealing with statements of outstanding universal value and management issues related to World Heritage sites. And the World Heritage Center also, of course, has its thematic programs. You heard already a report at this session on the new tourism program and on also sustainable development programs. Next slide, please. In addition to these activities, it is very important to point out that the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy actually calls for, in addition to international programs and international activities, also regional capacity building activities. And work is ongoing in that respect, particularly in cooperation with the UNESCO Category 2 centers, but also with other training institutions, with the World Heritage Center, and with other capacity building stakeholders. Next slide, please. But in addition to the activities at the regional level, the ICCROM and the other advisory bodies, IUCN and ICOMOS, along with the World Heritage Center, have decided to join forces together and actually to develop and to promote a new capacity building program that would take place at the international level. It is based on the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy, but it is also based on some of the other strategic documents that you have been discussing over the course of this week. And I call particular attention to the implementation of the evaluation of the global strategy. We've taken elements from that implementation plan, and we have incorporated them into a new program that we would like to present to you. Next, please. There are three main objectives to this new capacity building program. As you can see, the first is to collect information that is already existing to make it more easy to access, and the second is to develop information that is still needing to be developed. So that is one objective that we have within this new program. The second is to strengthen existing networks and where they exist already, and to create new networks where they do not yet exist, in order that this information that we're collecting and developing can be disseminated in a wide variety of places and to a wide variety of capacity building institutions. And finally, the third objective is actual delivery of information and capacity building, that is, carrying out capacity building activities. Next slide, please. The activities in this new program are foreseen within a series of guiding principles, and those guiding principles include a better integration and exchange between the culture and natural heritage sectors. We feel that we have very much to learn from the nature sector, and that also the nature sector also has a lot to learn from the culture sector. So that is one of the guiding principles of the program. A second guiding principle is the importance of promotion of activities and engagement with the local communities. This is, of course, the theme of this 40th anniversary of the World Heritage Convention, and it's something that this program takes as one of its guiding principles. The third guiding principle is to work with not just heritage professionals, but to recognize the fact that many decisions on heritage sites are taken by people who are not within the heritage profession. And so there's a need to have outreach to them and to work together to build capacity for the protection of the World Heritage sites. As you will also note, the three primary target audiences of the World Heritage Capacity Building Program are those that are part of the capacity building strategy. That is, practitioners, institutions, and communities and networks. Next slide, please. I'm not going to go through every single one of the activities, but within each of the objectives, there is a series of 5 activities that we are proposing to carry out. Within Objective 1 on the collection and development of information, you can see that we are intending on developing more guidance materials. This is something that you have requested through the resource manuals, but also through other means, in order to be able to explain better the processes of the World Heritage Convention and to disseminate them widely. We've also decided that we would like to develop some pilot case studies and pick out sites and look at what things they're strong in, and then try to develop resource materials based on the best practices or the good practices that these sites have developed over time. And again, that is something that you will find within the implementation plan that we just examined under item 9A. Next slide, please. Under Objective 2, which is strengthening existing networks and creating new networks, you'll see that there are also a series of 5 activities. Those that I would like to highlight include the idea of carrying out pilot twinning projects between countries in different regions of the world, to again continue to strengthen the networks of the advisory bodies. That is something that we take very seriously, and we wish to continue with that work in the coming years, and also to create new capacity building tools for communities. Next slide, please. And then finally, for the third objective, which is delivery of information and capacity building, you'll see that we have developed a series of activities. One, which is the first time that something like this will happen, is an international course bringing together both cultural and natural site managers to talk about the management of World Heritage properties. And we really see this as a way of exchanging information between the two culture and nature sectors. In addition, ICCROM will continue on with its international course on conservation of the built heritage, and we are also foreseeing short workshops, such as one on heritage impact assessments, which we will be carrying out later in the year, but also on other key issues that come up out of the state of conservation reporting and out of the periodic reporting process. The fourth one that I would like to highlight here is also the idea of carrying out some workshops on integrating the implementation of the World Heritage Convention with other UNESCO conventions. We know that there is the Intangible Convention, there are the biosphere reserves, there are a number of different UNESCO programs and instruments, and since sites are often part of more than one, the idea would be to promote some workshops to help site managers and to help people in countries to let's say, navigate between all of these various different conventions. Thank you. Next slide, please. Of course, all of this capacity building costs have costs attached to it, let's say. You'll see in the program that we've foreseen this program for a total period of 6 years, and the total amount that we would need is approximately 4 million euros. That is approximately 700,000 euros for each of the 6 years that we foresee the program. Within that envelope, it is expected that ICCROM would contribute over the course of the 6 years approximately 300,000 for the implementation of the Built Heritage course, and there's also a certain amount of money within the World Heritage Fund which comes to ICCROM, which would be allocated for some of the implementation of some of these activities. So as you can see, we still need to raise over 3 million euros over the course of the 6-year period. Next slide, please. But what we have also recognized is that it's not so easy to be raising money at this point in time. So what we've also tried to do is we've tried to develop a priority set of activities. And so what you see here is that in the first year of the program, these 6 activities coming from each of the 3 objectives, a few from each of the 3 objectives, we've recognized as priorities, and you can see that the priority activities, the total cost for the first year would be 280,000 euros. So what we are actually asking at this point in time is interested state parties who have an interest in capacity building and who are interested in making sure that some of your decisions also related to some of the other strategic instruments that you've been talking about, if you're interested in contributing to this effort, we would be happy to talk to you over the next couple of days. I would just to conclude, I would note that we have placed several copies of this proposed program on the desks of committee members, and as I said, the delegations from ICCROM, but also IUCN and ICOMOS and the World Heritage Center would be happy to discuss this program with you in the coming days as you have time to do so. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I believe IUCN. Do you want to? No. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much. Now we go to the draft decision we have comments. Switzerland, floor is yours.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. À notre avis, la stratégie pour le renforcement des capacités mérite effectivement d'être au centre de notre attention. Pour que notre système du patrimoine mondial fonctionne, pour que la gestion et la protection des sites soient efficaces, les acteurs, tous les acteurs, doivent être familiers avec les valeurs de la Convention, doivent connaître les objectifs de cette coopération internationale et doivent être familiers aussi avec les règles et les procédures opérationnelles qui en découlent. Le travail et l'échange sur le terrain, dans les régions et au niveau international, le développement de programmes et d'instruments adaptés est donc, à notre avis, d'une importance cruciale. Le projet sur le renforcement des capacités a déjà fait ses preuves et il s'agit maintenant de garantir la continuité de ce programme. Investir et s'engager pour le savoir et la formation vaut toujours la peine. Et c'est pour cela que la Suisse soutient et soutiendra le programme de renforcement des capacités et soutiendra aussi les activités qui visent à améliorer la bonne mise en œuvre de notre Convention du patrimoine mondial. Nous aimerions profiter de l'occasion pour remercier les organisations consultatives, notamment l'IUCN et l'ICROM, mais aussi l'ICOMOS, pour leur engagement et leur excellent travail dans ce projet. C'est la première fois que les trois organisations travaillent ensemble dans un cadre d'un tel programme, ce qui est une condition sine qua non pour son succès. Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you very much. Senegal, floor is yours.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Comme nos amis suisses, je remercie les organisations consultatives pour la qualité du travail qui a été fait, mais aussi pour les propositions fort intéressantes qui nous ont été suggérées. Je voudrais cependant attirer leur attention sur un certain nombre de points qui me paraissent en ce moment essentiels. C'est vrai qu'on parle beaucoup de renforcement de capacité, je pense que c'est important, mais parfois on se trompe de stratégie. On renforce une capacité là où elle existe. Sinon, il n'y a pas de renforcement. Or, très souvent, les problèmes que nous avons, c'est des problèmes de capacitation. Il faut créer d'abord les capacités avant de les renforcer. Il faudrait réfléchir à cela parce que c'est un gros problème. Ensuite, j'ai constaté qu'il y a des ouvertures effectivement qui sont faites en direction des universités. Et là, j'aurais souhaité que l'effort soit systématique. Il serait bien de faire un inventaire de ce qui se fait au niveau des universités, pas seulement européennes, mais aussi africaines. Il y a énormément de modules qui sont aujourd'hui en cours et il serait intéressant d'en faire l'inventaire, le répertoire et peut-être même de les mettre en réseau pour nous permettre de créer sur place les conditions d'une véritable participation à l'élaboration des savoirs dans le domaine du patrimoine. Cela me paraît absolument essentiel aujourd'hui pour l'Afrique parce que sinon on a fait beaucoup de choses. Je crois qu'on en parlera quand on fera sur le rapport périodique sur l'Afrique. On parle beaucoup de renforcement de capacité, mais je pense qu'on ne renforce pas beaucoup de capacités parce qu'il n'y a pas de capacité préexistante pour la plupart des cas. Merci.
Thank you very much. South Africa, the floor is yours.
Apologies, Madam Chair, we didn't hear that you were giving us a floor. Madam Chair, South African delegation appreciates and welcomes the progress made on this strategy. But Chair would like to note with concern the budgetary cuts in the advisory bodies. Therefore, we would like to encourage the advisory bodies together with the center in line with what Senegal said, that they consult state parties when developing programs of this nature to avoid the duplication of resources by developing programs that are already in existence. that could be provided by the state parties. Therefore, some form of alignment and prioritization is very important. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Mali, floor is yours.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Madame la Présidente, nous sommes en face d'un cas extrêmement intéressant, dans la mesure où les propositions faites par les organisations consultatives participent activement à la mise en œuvre de la Convention. C'est en renforçant ces capacités que l'on participe également à la mise en œuvre de la Convention. Mais je souhaiterais saisir cette opportunité pour apporter une petite solution à un problème qui a été largement débattu ici. Il s'agit de l'insuffisance du dialogue entre les membres du comité, bien les États partis, et les organisations consultatives. Je pense qu'on peut également envisager de renforcer les capacités des membres du comité dans cette programmation. On peut également aider les membres du comité à une mise à niveau en les dotant de manuels, en les dotant d'une certaine documentation. Et enfin, on peut seulement ne pas se limiter à ce qui est à cette session d'orientation traditionnelle qui est organisée pour les États partis. On peut leur proposer autre chose. Et ceci va permettre, si vous voulez, de renforcer le dialogue entre nous. Ça permet également une mise à niveau des membres du comité. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. United Arab Emirates, floor is yours.
شكرا السيدة الرئيسة. هذا الأمر على درجة كبيرة من الأهمية، وأود في بداية تداخلي هذا أن أشيد بجهود الهيئات الاستشارية في ما يبذلونه في هذا المجال، رغم معرفتنا بالضائقات المالية أو شحة الموارد والأعباء الملقاة على عاتقهم. لكن نحن تكلمنا كثيرا في هذه الدورة عن مواضيع مترابطة مع بعضها. تكلمنا عن توثيق الصلة بالهيئات الاستشارية، تكلمنا عن استراتيجية لتنفيذ هذه الاتفاقية ولتطوير آليات العمل وقواعد العمل. هذا بناء القدرات يدور حول كل مشاغل تنفيذ هذه الاتفاقية، لأنه بدون بناء القدرات لا نستطيع أن نقوم بعملية الحفاظ ولا نستطيع أن نقدم ترشيحات بطريقة سليمة. لذلك يعني هنا مربط الفرس، يعني وهو هدف. كما نحن نحرص على التراث كهدف، نحن نحرص على تطوير قدرات البشر الذين سيصونون هذا التراث. لذلك لن أطيل. عبر كثير من الزملاء عن ما أردت أن أعبر عنها. أنا أتفق مع من أشاروا للحديث من جنوب أفريقيا ومن السنغال وأخوة آخرون بضرورة الأولويات في البلدان ذات الحاجة الماسة لتطوير القدرات، ولا نمانع من تعزيز القدرات أيضا في البلدان التي وضعها أفضل. لا يفوتني أن أشيد بمبادرة سويسرا في دعم توفير الدعم الممكن في هذا المجال. يعني هذه بادرة نرجو أن تحذوها بقية الدول، وسنعمل من جانبنا على إمكانية عمل شيء في هذا الصدد في المستقبل. شكرا.
Thank you very much. Germany, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Capacity building is addressed to local stakeholders, in example, institutions, NGOs, individuals, and civil society. This requires knowledge on the Convention, on the operational guidelines and local situations. This knowledge can be best can best be provided by locally acting experts and other partners. However, capacity building is not possible without research. Therefore, UNESCO chairs research institutes and maybe other relevant partners have to be introduced into the capacity building strategy. Therefore, Germany likes to add some, or to give some proposals for amendments to the draft decision.
Mexico, please, floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, señora presidenta. Nosotros quisiéramos reiterar, hablando por la región América Latina y el Caribe, de dos temas que son para nosotros fundamentales, que hemos trabajado ya con órganos asesores y también con el Centro de Patrimonio Mundial a través de la Unidad para América Latina y el Caribe, pero que son fundamentales para nosotros. La armonización de listas indicativas, trabajarlo plenamente con los órganos asesores, y la formación de expertos. Al respecto, como lo hicimos nosotros en la sesión de Brasilia, reiteramos nuestro agradecimiento al gobierno de Suiza por el gran apoyo que ha dado para los talleres de formación de expertos en el que participamos nosotros en San José, Costa Rica en 2009, pero no se ha repetido esa experiencia, más un taller reciente que se llevó a cabo con ICROM en el Centro Categoría 2 Zacatecas en diciembre del año pasado. Sin embargo, es urgente para nuestra región tener un trabajo permanente de formación de expertos. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Colombia, floor is yours.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Nosotros igualmente queremos apreciar todo el trabajo de la estrategia que ha presentado ICROM. Igualmente agradecemos que se haga el énfasis de la construcción de capacidad en la conservación, donde los temas principales que vemos que están teniendo en cuenta es el desarrollo sostenible, el manejo en caso de desastres naturales y el manejo del turismo, que creemos que son temas principales en la presentación en el cuidado de nuestros sitios. De esta manera, tengamos en cuenta que necesitamos una mejor y mayor formación de nuestros expertos y estamos muy interesados en el trabajo que tengamos conjunto con los centros de categoría 2 de Brasil y de México. Gracias.
Thank you very much. India, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to compliment the advisory bodies, the ICROM and IUCN, for presenting a very comprehensive capacity building strategy. We, however, feel that we need to move from planning to implementation in order to enhance our capacity to implement the convention. And we feel that the existing Category 2 centers and the proposed Category 2 centers which are in line can play a major role in implementing the strategy. We also feel that state parties would need some guidance, particularly on handling the serial nominations and also for developing standards and criteria for taking a site out of the World Heritage List in danger. These are two critical issues which the states would need capacity, and I think in the implementation, these areas could be taken up on priority. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Japan.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Well, we also wish to thank advisory bodies, World Heritage Center, and all the institutions world over, including universities, for making steady progress in the field of capacity building. And as other colleagues mentioned, that capacity building is indispensable and also playing a significant role in implementing the convention in each state parties, and also in preserving the World Heritage properties. Japan has been extending cooperation in this field and will continue to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ethiopia, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to join other member states in their expression of appreciation to the ICOM and IUCN And I would like also to express our appreciation to Switzerland and Japan for their offer of support. And it's true that there are big differences between state parties with respect to capacities. And in addition to that, there is also differences in sustenance of the already existing capacities within these member states, especially with regard to third world countries. First, we'll need to look into the situational analysis of the capacities within the countries, and that is very basic in order to understand what kind of capacities we are dealing with. And in addition to that, I think it will be important also to call upon member states so that they give attention to the need of national councils within their own territories, national councils that will be helpful in line with the protection, conservation of cultural heritage. And with that regard, I would like also to remember of the role that was played with the program Africa 2009 in building capacity in Africa. But the capacity that has been built in those years did not last long. People have left their positions, their places, and they no more work in their ancient occupations. So sustainability, sustenance is very basic within the member states. So state parties will need to provide attention to this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't have, I see that Yemen, like observer, wants to take the floor. Please, Yemen, floor is yours.
شكرا على إتاحة الفرصة لنا في التحدث مرة أخرى. الحقيقة سيادة الرئيسة والزملاء الحاضرون جميعا، نشكر بشكل أساسي الجهات الاستشارية على عملها وجهودها في مجال الحفاظ على التراث. ولقد أشرنا في وقت سابق إلى مسألة بناء القدرات والذي نفتقده في اليمن، والذي يؤثر بهذا الشكل أو ذاك في صيانة وحفظ الممتلكات الثقافية. إننا نؤكد على كافة الملاحظات التي وردت، سواء كان من السنغال أو كافة البلدان التي أشارت إلى أهمية ليس فقط تعزيز بناء القدرات، ولكن العمل من أجل بناء القدرات. نأمل أن تعطى اليمن، والتي تكتنز كثيرا من الممتلكات الثقافية، أن تعطى أهمية خاصة في هذا الموضوع. شكرا.
Thank you very much. Barbados, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this matter. Barbados has been consistent in explaining its interest, and this is deepening in terms of the needs and requirements of establishing a clear strategy associated with the taking up of World Heritage processes within the region. So we've been particularly grateful to see this document emerge around ways in which the interrelated strands of capacity building, both at the university level and approximately at the community-based level, will come together. We do have one concern, and it is not one that is driven by this document, but it is going to evolve as the whole status of World Heritage processes has evolved. And this is to ensure that there's not a, what would I say, not a differentiation of status, but rather a linkage between the different stages of capacity building, so that one can see that one could possibly progress from community-based programming into longer-term courses and into university-level programming. So it's been an important exercise to pull all of these efforts together into a strategy, but I would like to see more articulated in terms of how one then begins to process the establishment of, let's say, clear guidelines that will pull the associated activities together. There's universities, there are university chairs, there are Category 2 centers that I mentioned, there are courses that are offered both from ICCROM and in the state party, and I think this is an important effort that needs to be driven even further and in depth in the regions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to give the floor to ICCROM for your reflection to the statements which you heard.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. And I'd like to thank all the members of the committee and also the other state parties for the comments that you've made. I can assure you that I've noted all of them down, and I have them. Just a few points to raise. First of all, what I presented this afternoon is in fact something that's meant to be at the international level, but please rest assured that this is meant to be complemented or meant to be sitting side by side with activities at the regional levels. My colleagues in Africa know that for a long time we've been working very hard in sub-Saharan Africa on a variety of different capacity building activities and programs, and we also have programs in Latin America and in the Arab states, et cetera. And the idea is to use the periodic reporting process specifically to identify those needs, to work with the Category 2 centers that are associated with those regions, to then develop specific programs for those regions so that we can have a complementary international program and complementary regional programs which meet the specific needs of the specific regions. So that would be the first point. The second point, which I think is should be emphasized, is that indeed we do see Category 2 centers and we do see UNESCO chairs and other universities as very important and full partners in the program that we are developing and will be implementing. So I think that's something that we need to bring everyone together, and we need to start creating those networks and start creating that dialogue so that we can see how we all interlink and how we fit together, and what we can do together, what we can do separately, and how can we build off of each other. The third point that I would want to raise is related to some of the priorities that were mentioned, such as danger listing, and that's something that we will take into account. And as we develop our courses, as we develop our resource materials, we will certainly work on hitting some of those key target areas that you have mentioned. And then finally, just the last little point that I would make is related to the orientation session, something that the distinguished delegate from Mali raised. Obviously, that is something that we're doing now on a yearly basis, but I think all of the advisory bodies and the World Heritage Center would be very happy to enter into dialogue with those committee members who are interested to talk about how we might be able to improve that and how we actually might be able to make that effort more effective for all of you, the members of the committee, in terms of your decision making. In terms of your decision making, and that may include differences in what we do here at the committee. It could also mean doing these at General Assembly of States Parties, for example, having an orientation at the General Assembly, or in other venues that you feel would be useful for us to be able to transmit this information to the state parties. So there were, as I said, I took note of all of the points that were made, and I hope these deal with at least the key issues that were mentioned. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much. If nobody wants to take the floor and to, open once more the discussion, so we can move to the adoption of the draft decision included in the document WHC 12/36.com/9b in section 2. I remember that Germany wanted to add something in some paragraph. Please, floor is yours. Give us in which paragraph you want to make the amendment.
Done. Integrated.
It is integrated. It is integrated. Thank you very much. So I give the floor. Senegal, floor is yours.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Le Sénégal souhaiterait faire un amendement qui serait peut-être un chapitre 7 bis, en tenant compte de ce que nous venons de dire dans les discussions et en ayant écouté tous les intervenants. Il pourrait être intitulé comme suit, si vous le souhaitez. Un 7b, par exemple, demande au Centre du patrimoine mondial, en collaboration avec les organisations consultatives, à inventorier les offres de formation dans le domaine du patrimoine, donc dans toutes les régions, bien sûr, en vue de partager les expériences et de mutualiser les expertises. Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Reporter, take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe we could go paragraph by paragraph, and if the delegate so wishes, we could introduce their amendments. Now that I have the floor, Madam Chair, I just want to point out to the attention of the committee that there was a consistency problem in paragraph 2. In all the decisions we have taken before, we always say UNESCO 2011. Now it is corrected in the screen, but in the paper it appears as Paris. So basically, we have no yet amendments for paragraphs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. On 6, we have incorporated the concerns of Germany to introduce the reference to relevant UNESCO chairs, and we did that as well on paragraph 8. Yeah. Now, on the paragraph proposed by Senegal, I guess that maybe the best place for this paragraph will be as a paragraph 7 rather than a paragraph 8, because as you can see on current paragraph 7, you are asking the international community to support the international capacity building program, and because of that, then in the following paragraph, you are asking the center and the advisory bodies to report on the implementation of such program. So maybe if the delegate of Senegal thinks it's a good option, we could move his proposal as new paragraph 7.
Thank you very much, our reporters. So we can go paragraph by paragraph. So as I see, we don't have any amendments in paragraph 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 5, it seems to me also. 5. We can adopt these paragraphs like it is in the original version. Are anybody abstain from this object? No. Adopted. So now we move to the paragraph 6. So are any objections to this amendment? No, I see no objections. So adopted as amended. So a new paragraph 7. India, please.
I think it should be World Heritage Center instead of committee. Thank you.
Thank you. So paragraph 7, are any objections? Switzerland, please, floor is yours.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Pas une objection, mais une
clarification que j'aimerais avoir. J'aimerais savoir de la part du centre, en quelque sorte, qu'il nous indique la faisabilité de cet inventaire. J'ai l'impression que c'est un travail de Sisyphe et que ça apporte peu de choses alors que les moyens que cela demande, alors que nous avons des difficultés que nous connaissons, sont extrêmement limités. Et donc, j'aimerais demander au centre comment est-ce qu'il envisage cela et comment c'est possible. Parce que s'il faut réserver une personne pendant une année pour que l'inventaire soit fait, qu'il soit mis à jour, qu'il soit sans cesse tenu à jour, je ne sais pas si cela en vaut la peine. Je le dis très franchement. Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you very much. And now I give the floor to Mr. Rao. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. If I understand the spirit of this paragraph, I guess they are trying to sort of prepare an inventory, not really an exhaustive inventory, but an inventory of institutions and training centers which are already involved in capacity building activities in relation to World Heritage. In fact, we do have such a list of centers around the world which are either offering academic courses or offering professional training programs for various categories of heritage professionals. So I do not think that it will be a very major exercise. The intention, I presume, is not to develop an exhaustive and complete inventory, but at least to have a list of all those centers which do impart training and capacity building activities. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Germany, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Rao, for just commenting on this. I remember, if I may remember correctly, 2 years ago in the context of a decision on capacity building, we have seen this list, and this list has been before the committee, so one could make reference to this and maybe put, if the list is available, make it available for those who request it, or make it officially available somewhere if there is need for. Thank you very much.
Dear colleagues, excuse me, but it seems to me it's a little bit too much, and make available the inventory. Of course, make available, so it's not necessary to put here. It is now, they can provide now during this session, they will provide you now, so, but it will be a little bit strange. No problem. And it can be available on website. So it is no problem. Mexico, please.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Sí, estoy de acuerdo con lo que usted dice. Mucha de esta información puede ya estar disponible. En este párrafo, tal vez la formulación, en lugar de en consulta con los cuerpos, podría ser en coordinación con los centros. Y además de los centros, de los órganos asesores, con los centros también. Y eso completaría la información. Gracias.
I agree that coordination maybe sounds better, but we have no end for such, change of words. Excuse me. Ekrom, please, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just to clarify or to add to this, ECROM actually already has on its website a training directory, and it includes training institutions from all over the world. We are in the process now of doing work on updating that. In fact, we've had a very capable intern over the last 3 months, and part of his job has been actually going back through and getting rid of old links and putting in new links, specifically related to World Heritage, but also related to heritage conservation or cultural heritage conservation of all sort. So this does exist already to a certain extent, and we pledge to continue working on that, to continue updating that. So just to inform the committee that the base of that, of Senegal's amendment already exists, and we would actually be happy to have the amendment here and just say that we'll continue to build that or continue to work on that.
Thank you very much, Senegal.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Ce que Joe vient de dire me rassure, parce que l'idée, c'est de dire simplement qu'il y a aujourd'hui des espaces où on fait la formation dans le domaine du patrimoine, qui sont des espaces nouveaux. Chaque année, ils s'en créent dans les universités d'Afrique et d'ailleurs. Je pense qu'il est bon de le faire savoir et de partager les expériences. C'est un peu l'esprit de cette proposition. Merci.
Of course, thank you very much. So I would ask Rapporteur give the final version because we have here some different possibilities.
I try to make my best, Madam Chairperson. I guess we could say request the World Heritage Center in coordination with the advisory bodies. And I think there was also the proposal to include Category 2 centers and Category 2 centers and the Category 2 centers to continue providing, because the information already exists as far as I understood, an inventory of heritage training centers in all regions with a view to sharing experience and expertise.
So, are any objections? I see none, so we adopted. Paragraph 8 without changes. So I propose to adopt the whole decision, which is number...
One more amendment.
One more amendment, yes. Please take the floor.
Sorry, my amendment in paragraph 9 is not correct because we should delete it because the chairs are not allowed to reporting to the World Heritage Committee. Sorry for that.
Thank you very much. So this paragraph stays like it was in initial version. So now we adopt the decision 36.9b adopted. Thank you very much. And now we move on to the item 10A. Its final report on the results of the second cycle of the periodic reporting exercise for Asia and the Pacific. The document WHC 12/36.com/10A. And as you are aware, the exercise of the second cycle of periodic reporting for the Asia and Pacific region was launched by the committee in 2010. I now invite Mr. Feng Jian from the World Heritage Center and the members of the coordination team to introduce this item. Please, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Dear distinguished committee members, and the chairperson just correctly mentioned, the committee launched the second cycle of periodical reporting for Asia and the Pacific region at its 34th session in August 2010 in Brasilia. As a result of the exercise, all 166 requested draft retrospective outstanding universal values were submitted by the Asia-Pacific state parties, and 165 were considered as complete, out of which 5 SOUVs were approved by the committee in June 2011, and another group of 67 final SOUVs were just reviewed and adopted by the committee this morning. All the 41 state parties in the Asia-Pacific region have also requested to submit response to the periodical reporting questionnaire by 31st of July 2011. An online system has been made available by the World Heritage Center to support and facilitate the process. The final periodical report, working document 36-10A, was drafted based on the responses provided by the state parties to the online questionnaire, both on Section 1 on the implementation of the Convention in 41 countries and Section 2 on the state of conservation of 198 cultural and natural World Heritage properties. In parallel, retrospective inventory on cartographic information of the properties inscribed on the World Heritage List until 1998 in the region has also been launched, and the relevant state parties have submitted the information so far of 68 properties currently. Some 30 of these proposals have also been reviewed by the committee. In order to assist the state parties in the region during this exercise, 3 sub-regional workshops for periodical reporting were organized in Mopiti, the French Polynesia, Taiyuan, China, and Dehradun, India, thanks to the generous contributions by the governments of France, Australia, China, and India. The slides, next slide. Next one. Yeah, next. Yeah. These workshops were provided guidance to national focal points, and following these workshops, different workshops were organized by the state parties concerned. In addition to the training workshops, technical assistance, stay there, technical assistance has also been provided to a number of state parties by the World Heritage Center and UNESCO field offices. Next slide. Okay. The final periodical report for Asia and the Pacific, the 88 pages working document, follows the structure of the questionnaire of the exercise. Due to time constraint and complexity of issues relating to the periodical reporting process, I would like to just summarize some main results in the next few slides. The issues result, go back to the result, as a result from the periodical reporting process was 1, on the management plans and systems. Across the region, many World Heritage Sites management expressed the need of improving management plans and systems. This includes various aspects from the establishment or improvement of action plans, better coordination and involvement of stakeholders in management, to the inclusion of visitor management in the management system, and development of monitoring indicators and mechanisms into the management system. It is also important to note that just as factors affecting the properties identified in the questionnaire, the state parties consider that better visitor management and monitoring should be addressed within the framework of overall management of culture and natural heritage properties. It should also be recommended that many properties in the region report the impacts of tourism to be both positively and negatively affecting them, which makes visitor management one of their top priorities. Next slide. More sustainable financial and human resources. From the analysis of Section 1 of the questionnaire, this issue is highlighted as priorities for Asia and the Pacific in the implementation of World Heritage Convention at national level. It has been suggested that More sustainable financial and human resources need to be secured, and effective mechanisms to allocate funding to priority needs should be established. Meanwhile, better use of tourism income and partnership with the private sector should be explored, considering the high awareness of the interests of various stakeholders in the region. Next slide. The community involvement and benefit sharing. The importance of community involvement and the need for improved relations between World Heritage property managers and various groups in communities are identified as one of the top priorities by many site managers in various parts of the questionnaire. Groups such as local communities, indigenous people, landowners, and industries, including the tourism industry, need to participate in the management of properties, monitoring, and the decision-making process. To improve the involvement of these various groups, many state parties consider that the need for awareness raising, capacity building, training, and better benefit sharing are required. It should be noted that better benefit sharing with local communities would enhance the sense of ownership and custody of heritage properties by the region. For your information, the Republic of Korea has also offered to organize a meeting in September this year to focus on this issue. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. Better regional cooperation. All state parties in Asia agreed that regional cooperation is currently lacking and better cooperation is called for. On the other hand, state parties agreed that the periodical reporting process provided all the state parties a great opportunity for exchanging their views and sharing experiences. State parties also noted that a network of focal points and site managers has been gradually developed through the periodical reporting and agreed that it should be maintained and continuously updated. Also, World Heritage Site managers found it useful to exchange information regarding how to deal with common factors affecting similar properties. A new slide. Next one. Next one. Since last reporting to the committee in June 2011, 2 regional meetings were organized in Samoa, Apia, in September 2011, and in the Republic of Korea, in Suwon, thanks to the generous contribution made by the governments of Samoa, Australia, and the Republic of Korea, where the state parties discussed and elaborated the future action plans based on the follow-up of the first cycle and the results of the second cycle. The outcome of these regional meetings has also been integrated into the working document. Further, as indicated by the director of the center in his report, 2 new state parties from Asia, Brunei Darussalam and Singapore, submitted their ratification to the World Heritage Convention in September 2011 and June 2012, respectively. Next slide. The action plan. The regional action plan for Asia identifies some 21 regional issues, and of which 3 main items were summarized on the development or review and implementation of management plans, disaster risk reduction, and better regional cooperation. On the issue of disaster risk reduction, all the state parties in Asia agreed that this issue is one of the top priorities in the region, but actions identified to address the issue are different per sub-region. In this regard, the government of Indonesia has offered to organize a workshop on disaster reduction in November 2012. The Pacific Action Plan has been updated on the basis of its follow-up to the first cycle, and a total of 19 regional activities were summarized there. It should also be stressed that actions related to communities are of major concern and interest for the Pacific. So currently an interim management committee for the Pacific Heritage Hub, which was reported to the committee in last session, has been established with Australia, Fiji, Palau, Samoa, and Solomon Islands as the committee members, and the University of South Pacific in Fiji as the local host. It was also agreed that the interim management committee to be tasked to develop the terms of reference for the functioning of this Pacific Heritage Hub. Next slide. Considerations for the future. Currently, go back to the slide before. Currently, the action plans are developed separately for Asia and for the Pacific, considering the culture, geographical, and diversity, as well as the scale of the region. Different action plans for each region and even for sub-regions and national level should be further developed so as to address challenges and needs adequately. In this regard, some countries in the region, such as China, as I mentioned, Indonesia and Korea, also offered to organize sub-regional workshops to tackle on the issues. As just been discussed before, capacity building is another issue that is considered to be a priority by the entire region, with each sub-region placing an emphasis on different fields where capacity needs to be enhanced. For capacity building at the regional level, the World Heritage Institute of Training and Research for Asia and the Pacific region, WITRAP, the UNESCO Category 2 Center, has offered to take a lead in developing a regional capacity building strategy and associated programs. An information meeting on this subject took place between WITRAP and the representatives from the Asia-Pacific states parties during this meeting on 29th June. Next slide. In order to make the most use of the information provided by the states parties and to develop regional strategies and programs for the future, the government of Japan, through its funds in trust cooperation with UNESCO, has provided support for the preparation of a publication as a final concluding report of periodic reporting in the region. This will also be used as a contribution to the closing event for the celebration of the 40 years anniversary of the World Heritage Convention, which will take place in Kyoto, Japan, from 6th to 8th of November this year. Meanwhile, the World Heritage Center has also requested the Asia-Pacific states parties to allow the center to publicize the results of the periodical reporting questionnaire through the World Heritage Center's webpage, together with other documentation developed through the process. Distinguished committee members, it should be noted that although very active regional cooperation and exchanges between state parties and site managers have been initiated through this exercise, in the current financial difficulties facing UNESCO's regular program and the World Heritage Fund, we would hope that more extra budgetary funding through an innovative approach could be mobilized, particularly from the Asia and the Pacific region, to support the implementation of follow-up actions so as to contribute to guarantee this important convention's future and global visibility. Next slide. Before closing, Madam Chairperson, distinguished committee members, I wish to take this opportunity on behalf of the World Heritage community to thank the Asia-Pacific states parties, national agencies, periodical reporting focal points, and World Heritage site managers. We would also like to thank the governments of China, French Polynesia, India, Republic of Korea, and Samoa for hosting regional and sub-regional meetings, as well as to the governments of Australia and Japan for the financial support provided to the process. Last but not least, we wish to thank our dear colleagues from the advisory bodies, ICMOS, IUCN, and ICCROM, and other international resource persons who provided technical support to the process. Next slide. Madam Chairperson, with this introduction, I would like to invite the representatives from the region to give their perspectives. We have here Mr. Ranwich Sharma, Director of World Heritage of Archaeological Survey of India, and Mrs. Jocelyn Managaya, National Focal Point for Periodical Reporting of the Philippines. And I would hope that they can give their perspective from their participation in the process. Also, the advisory bodies will provide their comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fenching. I will give the floor to the focal points you just mentioned. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, the distinguished members of the World Heritage Committee, for giving me this opportunity to speak here. The second cycle of the periodic reporting exercise began in India with a 5-day sub-regional workshop, which was conducted at Dehradun in June 2010, which was jointly supported by the Ministry of Culture and our Ministry of Environment and Forest. And the workshop saw the participation of the mentors for cultural and natural sites for the region, the focal points of nearly 14 member states from South and Central Asia, the site managers of cultural and natural properties from India, the UNESCO's regional field offices, and representatives of the advisory bodies. Several presentations were made by my colleagues from the World Heritage Center through several sessions, who explained in a greater detail through lucid presentations the rationale for periodic reporting, its benefits, and the entire process involved. Now, I would not like to repeat the context and benefits of the periodic reporting exercise here. What I'm here to share with you is our experience in working on various aspects related to the periodic reporting exercise and what it has achieved for us. The entire periodic reporting exercise was a 3-phase affair. The phase 1 included the preparation and submission of the retrospective statements of outstanding universal value. The phase 2 was the submission for the periodic reporting section 1 and section 2 online forms, and the section 2 forms were to be filled by the respective site managers. And the last in the phase 3 was the submission of the retrospective inventory of the cartographic survey to be submitted, in our case, for 19 out of 28 World Heritage properties which were inscribed between 1978 to 1998. Mr. Chair, I'm glad to mention here that the State Party of India submitted all the above information to the World Heritage Center respecting all the deadlines. Of course, the information sought was exhaustive and enormous, and there was at times a struggle and challenge in coordinating with so many site managers here and collecting and collating information within these given deadlines. This, we feel, can be a cause of concern for those member states with a large number of properties on the World Heritage list. Yet, in the end, the submissions were timely for us, and it proved a good opportunity to update our database. I would like to mention here that the entire periodic reporting exercise that lasted nearly a year and a half has helped the concerned agencies and on-ground site managers enormously in understanding the OUV of their respective properties, whether cultural or natural, and in comprehending various issues pertaining to their property and the buffer. The reporting provided by the site managers through the online forms will eventually, I'm sure and I hope, will benefit the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies as much as it has benefited us, both in reporting and analyzing state of conservation and management of our World Heritage properties, and in critically examining issues that concern them. The aspects of conservation and management highlighted through this periodic reporting has already triggered a mechanism in setting up an internal regulatory mechanism which involves various stakeholders, the professional experts, and also includes local communities. Already, our Ministry of Culture has constituted an advisory committee which has been mandated to examine these issues, give case-by-case guidelines, to resolve issues of management as these emerge, and also to work on a policy towards reviewing our tentative list and future nominations. And in fact, we are also conducting regional workshops because India being a large country, there are 5 regional workshops which are also being proposed in this regard. In the end, Mr. Chair, we would like to compliment the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies for bringing in excellent improvements in the periodic reporting process, including the online filling and the use of professional mentors and focal points. Thank you, Chair, once again for allowing me this opportunity to speak here.
Thank you very much to the first focal point. I give the floor to the second focal point. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the distinguished members of the World Heritage Committee for this opportunity to share with you our experiences in the periodic reporting exercise in Asia and the Pacific. On behalf of the states, parties in the region, I wish to convey our warmest thanks and sincere appreciation for the hosting of the 36th session of the World Heritage Committee in this beautiful city of St. Petersburg. As explained by Mr. Feng Jing and our colleague from India, activities for the periodic reporting comprise the preparation of the RSOUVs, the retrospective cartographic inventory, and the questionnaires, which we see are important for the management of our World Heritage properties. Initially, we saw complexities in accomplishing some parts of the exercise. The mapping of the sites, for instance, posed challenges for some countries in our region. A particular example is the Philippine rice terraces. The extensiveness of the site, where its rugged natural conditions set the background for mapping work, was a hurdle for us, while the full support of the community and the national agencies concerned was necessary to fully materialize the task. Challenges were nevertheless overcome with the active collaboration of national and local government agencies, and most particularly the local communities who closely cooperated in the work. The exercise brought out our good practices, as well as it helped assess needs and mitigate threats in our World Heritage properties. Participatory and consultative processes were essential in the success of this exercise. As reported by Mr. Jing, many workshops were held at the regional level where the World Heritage Center, the UNESCO field offices, the expert World Heritage mentors, and the international resource persons, as well as the advisory bodies and the national focal points, closely worked in sync. Workshops were likewise held at the national and local levels, which brought to fore the many actors working for the conservation and management of our World Heritage sites. These are the various stakeholders, the site managers and others, and the local communities who dynamically participated in the decision-making processes. The meaningful dialogue between all produced valuable, coherent results that conveyed the true essence of the World Heritage Convention. It was through these that awareness of the Convention and the meanings in being in the World Heritage List was renewed. Follow-up activities for the periodic reporting will undoubtedly continue in our region. We would like to emphasize the regional cooperation that resulted from this exercise, where we fostered awareness of World Heritage good practices and where we foresee more shared interactions forthcoming. We hope that through this exercise, regional cooperation will continue for the better future of our World Heritage. We therefore thank the World Heritage Committee, the World Heritage Center, the expert mentors, as well as the international resource persons, the advisory bodies for your expert guidance and knowledge. We in Asia and the Pacific truly appreciate this exercise, and we see its importance for the conservation and the management of our World Heritage properties. Thank you again, Chair.
Thank you very much to the second focal point. I now give the floor to the advisory bodies. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, distinguished members of the committee, observers, advisory bodies, warmly welcome the results of the periodic reporting of the Asia-Pacific region just presented. We take this opportunity to congratulate the team led by our colleague Feng Jing of the World Heritage Center and the members. We also take this opportunity to express our deep gratitude to all state parties of the region for their active engagement in the process. During the process, a large number of state parties organized country-specific and regional activities to share the experience within the country and among neighbors. You just heard two successful stories from Philippines and India. We are pleased with the high level of engagements of the advisory bodies in the PR process, through which we were able to provide training towards the development of retrospective statement of outstanding universal value and analyzing various factors affecting heritage. These two, in our view, are critical aspects for the future management of the properties. Furthermore, we were able to participate in the meeting that developed the future actions, particularly the one in Suwon, Republic of Korea. Among other things, the report has highlighted a number of areas where capacities needed to be developed, such as disaster risk management, sustainable development, and engaging communities. These clearly underscore the themes identified in the global capacity building strategy adopted by the committee last year and the actions proposed just previously. In this context, we are happy to note that the Category 2 Center, WITRAP, has already begun a process with its regional partners to elaborate a regional program to address these issues in keeping with the objectives of the global capacity building strategy. ICCROM in particular wishes to reiterate its commitment to continue to work on these activities related to capacity building with the other advisory bodies, our partners, and the state parties. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. ICOMOS, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. ICOMOS welcomes the completion of this important process for the region of Asia and the Pacific. The growth of the participation from Asia and the Pacific in the Convention since the first periodic report, both in terms of the number of state parties and inscribed properties, means that the second cycle is timely for highlighting regional achievements and issues. At this session, we have noted 2 new state parties in the Asia-Pacific region, as already noted by Feng Jing. And in this session, we have had 1 state party celebrate their first inscription on the World Heritage List, and that was Palau in the Pacific Islands. ICOMOS has been pleased to participate in the meetings held to support the Asia-Pacific regional process and considers that the experience has enhanced regional networks and an understanding of world heritage. ICOMOS therefore congratulates the state parties of the region for this work, as well as the achievement of the critically important retrospective statements of OUV. We also note that there is continuing work on the retrospective inventory, which is vitally important. Together, these achievements should strengthen the implementation of the Convention in the region. ICOMOS notes the increase in the number of state parties that have submitted tentative lists and that a large number of these still require updating and improvement. ICOMOS welcomes the continued efforts by states parties on tentative lists, as this can be a step in the direction of the objectives of the global strategy and the need to address gaps in the thematic, geographic, and cultural representativity of the list. ICOMOS considers that further work on thematic studies would be desirable to facilitate the work of the state parties in the region, and is pleased to have completed 2 of these for the Pacific Islands in recent years, on cultural landscapes and on early expansion and settlement in cooperation with the support of the World Heritage Centre and the State Party of Australia. Where resources can be found, ICOMOS welcomes the opportunity to develop further studies of this kind as an element of its work. ICOMOS notes that some of the findings of this periodic report have been incorporated into the Suwon Action Plan for Asia and the Pacific Action Plan. A number of these actions are those where the advisory bodies can be of assistance. ICCROM has already spoken further about some of these issues, particularly concerning capacity building. Finally, ICOMOS agrees with the priority given to these matters in the periodic report, and ICOMOS national committees in the Asia-Pacific region and ICOMOS international scientific committees are ready to work in cooperation with state parties. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now floor is open. Please raise your name, please, who wants to take the floor. Japan, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, we thank to the World Heritage Center and advisory bodies for their support to the state parties in Asian and Pacific region on the periodic reporting process. Our delegation would like to stress the importance of the periodic reporting initiative, especially in the follow-up process or implementation phase. In this committee session, many delegates expressed their view on the importance to put more focus on the conservation. In this regard, we believe periodic reporting exercise is an important step to identify needs and turn it into concrete activities. Japan will continue to contribute in this field through mutual communication with other state parties in our region, and of course with the Secretariat and advisory bodies, and also continue financial contribution through UNESCO Japan Funding Trust for the information dissemination. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are anybody who wants to take the floor? If not, I will give the floor to IUCN. Please, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Chair. I wasn't quick enough when the other advisory bodies finished. Just very briefly to firstly echo the comments that they've made, and it's been a pleasure to engage in this exercise, and I'd like to really echo the thanks to Feng and the Asia and the Pacific Desk in the Center for the partnership, and especially to acknowledge the tremendous efforts that states parties have put into this exercise, not only through the questionnaires and the engagement in the meetings that are reflected on the results, but also the major efforts to produce this great response in terms of the retrospective statements of outstanding universal value. Because to move towards a situation where we have the outstanding universal value defined and understood is just a fundamental place to get to. We note, in addition to all the comments the other advisory bodies have made, the emphasis on the differences within this large region, the differences of emphasis within the sub-regions and within individual countries, which is important to be able to extract from the exercise. And we're keen to engage through our own network of regional offices, one for Asia and one for Oceania, and also a range of country offices we have in the region to support follow-up. And we're also keen to engage with the training institutes in the region, including the Category 2 Center of WITTRAP, and we've been interested to follow some of the discussions about a potential nature-focused Category 2 Center in the region as well, and we're interested to continue with that discussion. Lastly, I think just a note, in parallel with the exercise, we've been engaged in a reflection on the impacts of climate change on natural World Heritage sites in Asia, and particularly how they could develop adaptive management approaches with the support of the Cultural Heritage Administration of Republic of Korea, and also in a reflection on protected area standards with the Chinese authorities, as well as a range of other broader efforts on protected areas, not necessarily specifically focused on World Heritage, but within the region. And we'd be keen to also link those wider efforts with the implementation of the periodic report. So I'll just close and really thank again all those that have contributed. Many thanks.
Thank you very much. I see no other speakers, so we can move to the draft decision, which contains in part 2 of this document. Please, Rapporteur, take the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. We have so far not received any formal amendment from the part of committee members. Nevertheless, I need to inform to you that there is a request from the part of Secretariat that on paragraph 11 we include the reference to the World Heritage Institute of Training and Research for the Asia and the Pacific region. There was the acronym only in the text, so just to put the whole name and in parentheses acronym. If the committee so wishes, Madam Chairperson, you may go along the decision, which consists of 15 paragraphs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we agree to adopt this draft decision in entirely like amended? India, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to propose a slight change in paragraph 9. which is regarding significant modifications to boundaries. These are like renominations and require substantial time. So we request that the dates be changed to February 2015. So it will be February 2013, 14 and 15 as deadlines. Thank you.
Dear colleagues, all you agree with this amendment? I will give the floor to Secretariat. Please, Madame Rosler.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We unfortunately cannot change this because there is a cycle for all the regions and there were agreed dates. So I'm giving the floor back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It means that we can't put February 15. Please take off this. Okay, once more, are any objections to adopt the decision 36 something else?
Yes, Madam Chairperson, my mistake, I'm sorry. There are other little things to change in the decision as I was requested by the Secretariat. Well, first of all, as we did with the previous decision, we have to change, instead of saying Paris 2011, we have to change UNESCO, just as a matter of consistency. Then on paragraph 13, we also, I think, need to include made by the governments of Japan and the Republic of Korea. And I think these are, let me check, Madam Chairperson. Yes, I think those are the only amendments would not need to be corrected.
Thank you very much. Everybody agree with this is factual amendment. So once more, we adopt the decision 36-10A. If there are no objections, so adopted. Thank you very much. And now we move on to the item 10B. The document WHC 12/36.com/10B, progress report on the follow-up of the first cycle and preparation of the second cycle of the periodic reporting exercise for Europe and North America. And I would like to give briefly the floor to Madame Petya Tocherova from the World Heritage Center, who will introduce this item. Please, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The document is WHC 12/36.com/10B, and the draft decisions are to be found on page 3 for each of the language versions, French and English. The document contains a summary of the activities which have been undertaken in the framework of the follow-up of the first cycle for the periodic reporting exercise for the Europe and North America region, and provides information on the proposed strategy and on the preparation, basically, for implementation of the second cycle of the periodic reporting in Europe and North America. It was agreed, and the committee adopted in its decision at the last 35th session, it was agreed that the second cycle will take place over a 2-year cycle, basically over 2 years, due to the high number of states parties and a number of sites, World Heritage sites in the region. The first group will consist of the countries of Western Europe, Nordic and Baltic Europe, and North America. and the exercise will be launched, if you wish to do, if the committee wishes to do so, at this session, while the second group is supposed to start the periodic reporting exercise next year after the 37th session of the committee. Meanwhile, over the period after the 35th session, we have been working actively to follow up on the first cycle and basically to prepare for the second one. We are very grateful to the states parties which have invited the World Heritage Center to organize, in cooperation with them, periodic reporting meetings in their countries. And I'm talking here about the Czech Republic for the Prague meeting in May 2011, Malta for the meeting in Valletta in September 2011, and the meeting in Reykjavik, Iceland in October 2011. We have a couple of slides, and here you could see some of the pictures of the meetings. We are, at the same time, preparing and working together with member states parties to prepare the next round of meetings, if I may say so. And I'd like to express thanks to Germany, which has invited not only the countries of Western Europe, its sub-region, but also the countries from the Nordic and Baltic region, and recently extended the invitation also to the countries of Mediterranean Europe. Italy has invited a meeting in Florence for 2013. Georgia has invited a meeting for November this year in Tbilisi for the region of Central Eastern and Southeastern Europe. Azerbaijan has extended also an invitation for next year. So, as you know, we have a lot of countries and sub-regions, so it's quite a number of meetings, and you can see them on the slide. You can see on the slide the upcoming meetings. Well, I would also like to express our gratitude for the financial contributions which have been made towards the implementation of the periodic reporting exercise in Europe and North America, which come from the Netherlands, and also from Andorra, from the states parties of Andorra, Monaco, Portugal. We also have had a pledge from the Flemish government to financially support us, and we are currently developing a project. Nonetheless, I would like once more to highlight the fact that being the Europe and North America desk, we do not basically enjoy a lot of extra budgetary assistance, and therefore we would very much rely on the support, including financial support of states parties, so that for the implementation of the cycle, so that we can achieve good results during the exercise and have all the questionnaires analyzed and presented in the best possible manner. Again, due to the number of World Heritage Sites in the region, it is clear that it will be very difficult to organize meetings and provide training for all site managers in all different states. Also, of course, this is a state-driven, state party-driven process. But we have a commitment, together with the advisory bodies, to provide as much assistance as possible. And as long as it might not be possible for us and for the advisory bodies to attend all of these meetings, we have developed a very user-friendly platform, an online platform, which provides a lot of information which is related to the second periodic reporting cycle, and includes also a lot of training material, and including video tutorials. This is, you see it on the slide, how the homepage of the platform looks like. We have also developed, on the basis of consultations, it's clear for us that the site managers are those who need real training, and we have tried to assist the states parties in providing them with additional tools. We have developed a little handbook, a tool for site managers to help them understand better the process and contribute to the capacity building of the site managers. Maybe it's worth mentioning one more activity which we have started, given the fact that the committee just discussed and adopted a decision on 9B. We have also launched a little initiative to contribute to the implementation of the global capacity building strategy, particularly for the region of Central Eastern and Southeastern Europe, for which the outcomes of the first periodic reporting cycle have clearly shown that capacity building is one of the priority areas that need to be addressed. We have presented the initiative, and we shall, at a small side event last week on 29th of June, and we shall follow up with this initiative in the larger framework, strategic framework of the global strategy during the upcoming periodic reporting meetings. And I would like to finish this presentation with, if you can go to the slide with the roadmap. At one of our periodic reporting meetings in Reykjavik in Iceland last year, in 2011, we discussed in detail and we agreed upon a roadmap concerning all the stages of the process in the Europe and North America region, given that it is somewhat different than the other regions, as it is implemented on a 2-year basis. Of course, the roadmap was developed only for the regions of Western Europe and the Nordic and Baltic countries, but at an informal meeting which we held later on in November during the General Assembly in Paris, we have further developed the roadmap, and we do believe it is a very practical tool for all of us in the implementation process. Thank you very, very much, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, the floor is open. Who wants to take the floor, please raise your name, please. Estonia, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Just would like to ask a question about the retrospective statements of outstanding universal value in connection with the periodic reporting process. As we know that Europe is a region where very many sites still lack these statements, and how does this affect the periodic reporting exercise? And also, we know that ICOMOS has expressed their concern about the huge amount of work ahead, and the situation is further complicated by the fact that due to the difficult situation of the World Heritage Fund, there is really much more work than money to do it. So I would also like to ask ICOMOS to comment on the situation and ask whether you have some idea as to how these challenges might be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Germany, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. As Germany has been involved in supporting capacity building activities, especially for Central, Eastern and Southern Eastern Europe as a follow-up of periodic reporting first cycle, I'm happy to learn from the document that these initiatives are continuing. And I would like to ask to the World Heritage Center in which framework these activities are now being carried on, and we are of course happy to share the experiences gained in the capacity building activities following up to the first cycle. And I would like to follow up on what my Estonian colleague has just said on the difficult financial situation, both at the advisory bodies and at the center, to cope with the huge workload with this periodic reporting exercise. And I would be happy to learn as well from the World Heritage Center how this will affect the proper and smooth going of this exercise, which is also a big exercise for us as a state party. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I would ask World Heritage Center to answer the questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll address the issues first raised by Estonia concerning the retrospective statements of outstanding universal value. Well, yes, we have an enormous number of draft retrospective statements of outstanding universal value which have been received by the Centre, and also we still have not received all statements of outstanding universal value which were expected to be received at the Centre on the 1st of February. We still have a number of around 270. And for the time being, 17 of them concern natural properties or mixed properties, and they need to be examined by IUCN, evaluated by IUCN, which we believe would not represent a difficulty given the number of those statements. However, it is of course more complicated with the cultural properties drafts retrospective statements of outstanding universal value because of their very, very high number. And as we are in the process of discussing with ICOMOS how we can best proceed, but it's a matter of human resources, it's a matter of financial resources, and I believe ICOMOS would be better placed to provide some further insights as far as the evaluation process of the draft statements will go on. It is highly unlikely that all these statements could be evaluated within the usual cycle, which is around 18 months, and will have to base, where it's not possible, we'll certainly have to base the periodic reporting exercise on the existing drafts if it would not be possible to have the evaluation. Maybe I could address the second issue raised by Germany. Actually, this is initiative, well, initiated by the World Heritage Center on the basis of the outcomes of the first periodic reporting, and especially in the framework of the preparation of the second periodic reporting. As it was explained at the side event which we organized last week, actually we, after a lot of reflection, together with ICROM, which is the advisory body in charge of capacity building, we decided that it would be better to address those issues and those needs before the periodic reporting starts, instead of waiting for another couple of years to have the results of the second cycle, especially because we could use the periodic reporting meetings for capacity building as well. And so there is not any specific framework. It is an initiative developed between the World Heritage Center and ICROM, and this is work in process. It does not, for the time being, we have analyzed the questionnaire which has been received and the answers to the questionnaire sent by the states parties, made interviews with professionals in the field, and the way forward will be discussed at the forthcoming meetings, periodic reporting meetings, together with the states parties, which are among the major stakeholders in this area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. ICOMOS, do you want to add something? You're here. Okay, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. ICMOS considers that the retrospective statements of outstanding universal value, which are being approved as part of the periodic reporting process, are absolutely crucial that they should be undertaken. They're the sort of backbone of the management of properties and also useful for impact assessments and a whole raft of other activities. So we do think that the momentum that we have made or put in place to address these in the other regions needs somehow to be sustained for Europe and North America. But, as you have already heard, these statements will number several hundreds for the cultural properties. And processing these drafts and giving each of them the attention they need and establishing a dialogue with state parties is clearly going to stretch resources beyond what are in place at the moment. ICOMOS is confident that it could produce the human resources, but I think at the moment we are not supported by financial resources to allow an adequate evaluation of these drafts to take place. So we do consider this is an issue which needs to be put on the table, as it were, and we hope that discussions can take place to see how we might resolve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. IUCN, floor is yours.
Well, thanks, Chair. I think on this, as the head of the desk said, we don't have the same difficulty. We do have to identify extra budgetary resources, and I think that's not in place yet, but we've discussed and we think that that's possible for the natural sites. But we don't have the same issue of volume of statements of outstanding universal value that's faced by ICOMOS. So I think this is an issue particularly for the cultural sites in the region.
Thank you very much. So now we can move to the draft decision. Reporter, do we have any amendments to the draft decision?
No amendments proposed for this decision 36-10B, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you very much. So we can adopt the decision 36-10B. Germany, please.
Sorry, Madam Chair, for asking for the floor again, but having heard what the Centre elaborated on the capacity building with regard to Central Eastern and Southern Eastern Europe, I would like to see whether there might be a need to change a little bit in paragraph 7 of the draft decision, because I found that very unclear what was in there, so we might help on the text and get a bit clearer wording on what is exactly going on there, because others reading this decision might find it complicated and difficult to understand as well.
Please propose concrete formulation.
I would propose the following wording. Welcomes the initiative of the World Heritage Center and ICROM, as I heard ICROM is involved here, to address the priority needs in training and capacity building for the preservation of World Heritage properties in Central, Eastern and Southern Eastern Europe by an integrated and targeted strategy. Full stop. Yeah.
Once more and slowly.
In training and capacity building, priority needs in, no, I start from the beginning. Sorry. Welcomes the initiative of the World Heritage Center and ICROM to address the priority needs in training and capacity building for the preservation of World Heritage properties in Central, Eastern and Southeastern Europe by an integrated and targeted strategy in the context of periodic reporting second cycle. And I hope that this corresponds to what the World Heritage Center just explains. If I'm mistaken on this, I'm happy to take advice on that.
So paragraph 7, please look at this. Everybody agree with this paragraph? I see no objection. So as I understand, we can adopt the decision entirely as amended. So draft decision 36-10B as amended is adopted. Thank you very much. And now, dear colleagues, I would like you to move to the decision 36-7B.107 concerning the Mali situation, which had been prepared by drafting group. As I see here, the point 7, paragraph 7 is in square brackets. So who can explain their position from the drafting group, please? Why you put it in square brackets? South Africa, can you explain the position?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had a difference of opinion in terms of this paragraph as to the mandate of this mission which was recommended in terms of undertaking further necessary emergency rehabilitation and conservation. Hence, some of the state parties felt that perhaps that is not the responsibility of the World Heritage Committee. So as a result, we then decided to put this paragraph in bracket.
Dear colleagues, it seems to me that paragraph 10, which covers this appeal, further requires the Director General of UNESCO to dispatch a mission to Mali, but what is confusing me personally, at the earliest possible time. You know, it seems to me it's too much. What does it mean, earliest possible time, when it is conflict situation? Which mission we can send there now, let's say? So maybe when possible, when it will be, when the situation permit, something like this. We have to be more realistic in this. India, please take the floor. India, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry for coming in late, and on this I agree with you entirely. When possible, whenever possible, or when possible is better than whenever, and I entirely agree with that. Madam Chair, I'm sorry, but to take you back, but in para 6, I think statements like this, which convey the sense of anguish, the sense of angst that we have, should be as short and simple and precise as possible. Otherwise, they lose their focus and their meaning. In para 6, may I suggest that we stop at list of World Heritage in danger? Because we're getting into difficult terrain here, depriving future generations. Why only future generations? What about the present generation? So let us just stop it there at list of World Heritage in danger. One second, Martin, may I continue? In para 7, there's a commitment. I noticed the square brackets or brackets. The World Heritage Committee is in no position to carry out necessary emergency rehabilitation measures. This is tasking, I mean, I see the intent, but the committee or even UNESCO, does it have the capacity? Does it have the mandate? If it involves deployment of armed force, let me say, these are matters which are beyond the purview, without in any way compromising the commitment and sense of anguish that we have. In Para 8, calls upon the international community to provide the support required at the request of the state party. The international community by itself should not be taking action except at the request of the state party. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. May I precise what about the point 7 you propose to take it or to delete?
Point 7, Madam Chair, I would suggest we delete.
Delete. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Senegal, floor is yours.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Bon, j'étais membre du comité de rédaction, donc je ne vais pas intervenir sur le fond. Par contre, sur la forme au point 6, je pense que nous avions été plus clairs en disant que nous trouvions inacceptable toute corrélation entre les événements en cours et les décisions prises par le comité. Donc, rejeter n'est pas suffisamment fort, c'est inacceptable. Ensuite, il y a un mot, peut-être au paragraphe 5, condamne avec force ces actes et appelle les auteurs responsables à cesser, pas à faire cesser, mais à cesser immédiatement. Merci, Madame la Présidente.
So, dear colleagues, I propose to go, you know, maybe paragraph by paragraph. It will be easier because, you know, everybody try to comment all the paragraphs. So, paragraph 1. Please, reporter, read the paragraph 1.
Paragraph 1. The World Heritage Committee, recalling the high-level UNESCO mission to the State Party of Mali that was sent in May 2012 at the decision of the Director General of UNESCO in response to the disastrous occupation of the cultural property of the Timbuktu shrines by armed groups, which met with the senior government officials, including the Prime Minister and the Minister of Culture, in order to offer support to the people of Mali.
Are there any, please, India?
Madam Chair, and met. Otherwise, it looks like the armed groups met with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Culture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are any objection? Senegal, you want to take the floor? Senegal? No. No. Okay, so I see no objection, so the paragraph 1 of the draft decision is adopted. Then, please read.
Paragraph 2, further recalling, and you have an extra capital in recalling, so please correct that. Further recalling that during the UNESCO high-level mission, both the government of Mali and UNESCO agreed to reinforce protection of all cultural properties which are fundamental for the preservation of the Malian culture, described by the government as both rich and tolerant and forming an integral part of the heritage of humanity.
Are any objections to this paragraph? I see none, so adopted. Paragraph 3.
Paragraph 3. Welcoming the declaration of the Secretary General of the United Nations of, I guess it should be of the 1st July 2012, supporting the efforts of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the countries of the region to assist the people of Mali to resolve the crisis.
Are any objections? Adopted. So, paragraph 4.
Paragraph 4. Noting with great sadness the destruction of the mausoleums which were part of the World Heritage Property of Timbuktu, expresses its gratitude to the international community for the manifestations of concern and for the appeals for the cessation of these repugnant acts of destruction.
It seems to me that it is possible to express its gratitude in a separate item. It will be more logical and like normally we do it. So are you agree with paragraph 4? Adopted. Paragraph 5? Adopted. Thank you very much. So paragraph 6. Switzerland, yes, please.
Dans le texte français, madame, s'il vous plaît, supprimez le faire cesser. Il ne s'agit pas de faire cesser, mais il s'agit de cesser, comme le dit le texte anglais. Merci.
Thank you very much. So paragraph 6.
A new paragraph 6.
No, yes, it will be paragraph 5 in the original version, so it will be paragraph 6. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. New paragraph 6 strongly condemns these acts of destruction and calls upon the perpetrators to responsible to immediately halt these unacceptable actions.
Are any objections to this paragraph? I see none, so adopted. So next paragraph. Germany.
Sorry, madam. I saw the idea of my colleague who brought this finds unacceptable. But if you read it neutrally as an outsider in para 7, it sounds as if there is a correlation and we think this is unacceptable. I think the wording is not proper.
Excuse me, we just spoke about the previous paragraph. We didn't adopt this paragraph, we only move on. Thank you very much, but we just... So it's next paragraph, paragraph 6, now it is 7.
Yes, new paragraph 7. Rejects, finds unacceptable, any correlation between the recent inscription of the property of the Timbuktu streams on the list of World Heritage in danger. And here, well, the ambassador of India had proposed to delete the rest of the sentence, but I think that we need to keep what it's in blue now. So we should have to include also, and the barbaric actions that are being perpetrated. Is that what you meant?
Yes, Rapporteur, thank you.
Mexico, floor is yours.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Creo que si decimos finds unacceptable al principio, para empezar, no es el término correcto, porque en efecto, si se lee de una manera neutral, como dijo Alemania, pero también sin ningún tipo de antecedentes, podría pensarse que hay algunas relaciones entre la destrucción y la inscripción en la lista que pudieran ser aceptables. Entonces, yo pienso que debemos decir rechazamos cualquier relación. Rejects es mejor. Gracias, señora presidenta.
So, Germany, floor is yours.
Thank you. Reject is better. And I must say, as India crossed out what I suggested, I don't mind. My wording was a bit different, but we were here with the working group, so in which I couldn't participate. I would still think we have to say that are being penetrated, which deprive the world and future generations from enjoying Mali's precious heritage. I would like to have this in because we are in a World Heritage Committee. To us it's normal, but people who read this are not aware that it's not all about Merli, it's about a world heritage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Algeria, floor is yours.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. En article 7, nous avons convenu tout à l'heure dans le groupe de travail de changer l'expression acte barbare par acte de vandalisme, une expression qui est plus consacrée dans nos écrits et dans nos usages. Merci.
Thank you very much. Switzerland.
Je n'ai pas demandé la parole. Je suis d'accord avec tout ce que vous voulez. Merci.
France, please.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. La France n'a pas fait partie du groupe de rédaction et donc se permet d'effectuer quelques remarques tout en étant à la disposition du comité pour les retirer si nécessaire. C'est-à-dire que pour ce qui concerne le français, en réalité, rejette n'a pas la même force que juge inacceptable. Donc, d'un point de vue français diplomatique, il nous semble plus opportun de laisser juger inacceptable. Mais nous n'avons pas été dans le groupe de rédaction. Et si le groupe de rédaction s'est mis d'accord sur rejette et préfère rejette, la France retire précisément sa proposition. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Et Madame la Présidente, pardon, excusez-moi.
Reporter, please read the final version.
So the paragraph 7 as amendment reads as follows: rejects any correlation between the recent inscription of the property of the Timbuktu Shrines on the list of World Heritage in danger and the vandalism actions, the action of vandalism, so maybe that's the most correct, the acts of vandalism that are being perpetrated which deprive the world and future generations from enjoying Mali's precious heritage.
Thank you very much. Now, are any further amendments? I see none, so adopted. Now we move on to the next paragraph, please.
Following the discussion, Madam Chairperson, I think there is agreement on deletion of this paragraph.
Thank you very much. Are any objections to delete this paragraph? I see none. Ethiopia, please.
Thank you. I just want to comment a few things. If we delete this paragraph, I don't see anywhere we show our commitment. Like, I believe Mali is going to be demanding some support. So where will we show our commitment?
In point 10, we discussed it before. It will be more proper. So, are any other objection to delete this paragraph? I see none. So, adopted. Please go on.
Paragraph 8 calls upon the international community to provide the support required at the request of the State Party of Mali in ensuring that these cultural properties are conserved and protected for present and future generations.
Are any objections? Adopted. So next paragraph, please.
Paragraph 9.
Mali, you want the floor? Please.
Oui, dans la version française, on parle d'État parti malien. Il faut parler d'État parti du Mali. Voilà la partie qu'on vient d'adopter. Merci.
Thank you very much, Switzerland, excuse me.
Dans ce cas-là, puisqu'on réouvre le débat, dans le texte français, c'est bien culturel, c'est SES et pas CES. C'est ITS. Donc c'est SES. Merci.
Thank you very much. When I suppose it will be, Secretariat will be preparing the final version of all draft decision, they will check, you know, all these errors. So please read the other paragraph.
Paragraph 9. Request the Director General of UNESCO to consider the creation of a special fund to assist Mali in its efforts to support the conservation of its cultural heritage, and to this end, appeals to all member states of UNESCO, of ISESCO and OIC to provide financial resources to this fund. Madam Chairperson, may I suggest that as long as this decision is going to be for the whole public, we put the complete name of this organization. So we should have to include Islamic, Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, and in parentheses, ISESCO. And for OIC, is the Organization of the Islamic Conference.
Senegal, floor is yours, please.
Une petite correction à propos de l'OCI. L'OCI, ce n'est plus de la conférence islamique, mais de la coopération islamique.
Thank you very much. I hope the Secretariat check it very carefully. So are any objections to this paragraph? So I see none, so adopted. Please go to the next paragraph.
Paragraph 10. Further request the Director General of UNESCO to dispatch a mission to Mali and the delegation of India propose when possible, with a view to assessing, together with the national authorities concerned and local authorities, the destruction of the property and the urgent conservation needs in order to bolster the safeguarding of its integrity and its outstanding universal value.
Are any objections or amendments to this paragraph? Yes, India, please.
I think you want to, it's the destruction of the property or the damage to the property, but destruction at the property sounds, but I defer to wisdom.
Senegal, floor is yours.
Oui, une petite remarque de forme sur la version française, parce que si on traduit à paragraphe 10, when possible en anglais, ça veut dire dès que possible en français. Bon, on a mis une forme plus longue et moins élégante en français. Donc je pense que le français prendrait dès que possible.
Excuse me, you know, the problem is that in English version it was the earliest possible time. But you know, we have to be very consistent and pragmatic, let's say. The mission can go there only when the situation more or less will be acceptable to receive the mission. But when we put earliest possible time, it means tomorrow. And tomorrow it will be, you know, maybe impossible. So when it's possible. I see small consultations, so we'll wait 2 minutes. So maybe, are you agree with, yes, Germany, please.
I'm not a native speaker, but I think I would prefer destruction at the property with the same idea. Maybe there's something left that still is World Heritage. If we say destruction of the property, it's totally gone. So let us be a bit less linguistic and a bit, I would say, open, if my Indian colleague can agree.
No, Madam, I can agree. I'm not a native English speaker either. We were only colonized.
Maybe France will help us with the French version, because I see that...
Alors, la France, Madame la Présidente, va vous aider avec humilité, parce qu'il y a de nombreux pays ici parmi nous qui sont aussi des exemples pour la langue française et devant laquelle la France s'incline régulièrement, comme vous le savez, au comité exécutif de l'UNESCO pour ses remarques fort appropriées. Sous réserve de nos amis francophones et de leur approbation, il nous semble, du côté de la délégation française, qu'il vaudrait mieux la destruction du site et des besoins de conservation. Bien évidemment, si nos amis francophones, dans leur majorité, ont un avis contraire, la France se ralliera à leur avis, mais pour notre part, c'est plutôt du site. Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you very much. And what about the when possible? I understand that in French version it sounds not very elegant, maybe. Lorsque la situation le permettra. C'est bien? When possible. It's okay. Germany, please. Just a moment.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je m'excuse de prendre la parole encore une fois. Je ne suis pas de langue maternelle française, mais je pense la traduction en français de destruction du, c'est la même chose qu'en anglais destruction of. Alors comme ça, on a laissé destruction at, c'est-à-dire destruction au bien. Malgré le fait que c'est linguistiquement probablement un peu dégueulasse, mais ça nous laisse plus de chance dans le futur. Alors la destruction au bien. Ça va pas?
Algeria, please.
Si, merci Madame la Présidente. Nous voulions, pour un peu plus de cohérence, compléter un peu la proposition française en proposant la formulation d'évaluer l'ampleur de la destruction du bien. On n'évalue pas la destruction, mais on évalue l'ampleur de la destruction du bien. Merci.
Thank you very much. Senegal, floor is yours.
Oui, je pense que l'Algérie a proposé une bonne formule qui arrange tout le monde.
Thank you very much. South Africa.
Madam Chair, I thought India proposed two words, either to the property or of the property. I thought we needed to make a decision there because at the property sounds odd, if the right language of the convention. Therefore, we must choose between to the property or of the property. Thank you.
Now, as I understand, everybody agree with such formulation proposed by Algeria and translated into English. Senegal, agree?
Non, madame, je ne suis pas d'accord. Je vous dis pourquoi. Parce que quand le bien est détruit, on ne parle plus d'ampleur. Donc, je crois que ce qu'on peut évaluer, c'est l'ampleur de la détérioration du bien. Parce que quand c'est détruit, c'est anéanti, je crois.
The deterioration, it's more natural, destruction, I would say, but
Damage, maybe.
Maybe damage.
South Africa.
South Africa, please.
Madam Chair, deterioration is linked to gradual. You are right. I agree with you. Therefore, we must avoid the deterioration. Thank you.
Algeria, please take the floor.
l'ampleur de la destruction d'un bien, du bien, en vue de sa sauvegarde. Donc je pense que c'est clair en langue française. Et pour améliorer, afin d'améliorer, pour la sauvegarde.
Floor is yours, please.
I will try to clean up the text, Madam Chairperson, with all these proposals. Further request the Director General of UNESCO to dispatch a mission to Mali, when possible, with a view to assessing, together with the national authorities concerned and local authorities, the extent of the destruction of the property and the urgent conservation needs in order to safeguard its integrity and its outstanding universal value.
Mexico, please.
Gracias. Gracias, señora presidenta. Un comentario aquí técnico con respecto al lenguaje de este comité. Es correcto decir safeguard, o sea, salvaguardar. ¿No sería mejor decir proteger la integridad o la protección, o aludir a la protección?
Germany, please.
Madam President, I just get an information by telephone that it's in the news that now the entrance gate of the mosque is destroyed in Mali.
So it means that we, as soon as possible, have to react to this very grave problem. So once more, deterioration of damage. What damage? English interpreter suggests damage. Damage to the property and the urgent conservation needs in order to protect its integrity and its outstanding universal value. Algeria, please take the floor.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Moi, je pense que dégâts est une formulation passive, alors que destruction est une formulation plus active. Donc, c'est un acte de destruction. Merci.
France, floor is yours.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. La France considère qu'effectivement la situation est extrêmement grave. Les informations que viennent de donner l'ambassadrice d'Allemagne vont dans ce sens, c'est-à-dire véritablement d'une destruction. Il semble que ce soit quand même plus fort. Et si nous pouvons nous permettre, du point de vue de la délégation française, le mot sauvegarder en français est plus fort que protéger. Donc, nous proposons d'abord que soit maintenu le terme de destruction et d'autre part de sauvegarder. Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you very much. Once more, try to clean the text.
Okay, further request the Director General of UNESCO to dispatch a mission to Mali, when possible, with a view to assessing, together with the national authorities concerned and local authorities, the extent of the destruction of the property and the urgent conservation needs in order to safeguard its integrity and its outstanding universal value. If that agreed, the committee agrees on this.
South Africa, please, floor is yours.
Madam Chair, we would like to suggest that we go with the text of the rapporteur on the damage. Because when we say destruction, we are forming an opinion. Hence, we are even proposing to go and assess. You can use destruction once we have assessed. We know media can sensationalize issues. Therefore, damage is a preferred language as far as we are concerned for now. Destruction can be changed later once we have assessed. For now, we propose that we stick with the extent of damage. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Everybody agree with this proposed amendment? So I hope that last variant, please. Algeria.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Je suis désolé, mais je ne suis pas d'accord avec mon collègue de l'Afrique du Sud. Nous avons tous vu les images horribles de ce qui s'est passé dans les mausolées, et aujourd'hui on apprend que la porte d'une mosquée a été détruite. Et ce matin, je lisais dans les dépêches, un cimetière a été également touché. Donc je crois que le mot qui s'impose, qui reflète la réalité malheureuse, horrible, affreuse, c'est celle de la destruction. Merci.
Thank you very much. So, Reporter, try to solve the problem.
Maybe the committee would like to consider to have both. So we have the damage or the destruction. If there is no consensus on one term, to have both. Okay, the damage and the destruction. Okay. Okay, I read it again. Further request the Director General of UNESCO to dispatch a mission to Mali when possible, with a view to assessing, together with the national authorities concerned and local authorities, the extent of the damage and destruction of the property and the urgent conservation needs in order to safeguard its integrity and its outstanding universal value.
Thank you very much. I see no other amendments, so can we consider it is adopted? Thank you very much. So the other paragraph, please.
Last paragraph 11 decides that a report on progress made in that context be submitted to the World Heritage Committee at its 37th session for consideration and follow-up action.
Thank you very much. Are any objection? I see none, so adopted. And now we have to adopt the whole text as amended. So draft decision 36, com 7b, point 107, you not agree. Please, Algeria and Mali, then.
Excusez-moi, Madame la Présidente, j'avais levé ma plaque, mais vous ne m'aviez pas vu. Excusez-moi. Je trouve que le fait d'établir un rapport dans un an est une situation qui n'est pas conforme à ce que nous venons de prendre comme décision. Il faut trouver une solution intermédiaire pour que ce rapport soit fait avant, qu'il y ait quand même, que le comité prenne qu'on sache quelles sont les mesures qui ont été prises et qu'on puisse prendre des mesures correctives peut-être ou prendre plus de mesures pour aider le Mali à régler à régler quelque peu cette situation. Nous pensons qu'une année, c'est voir le patrimoine du Mali partir dans son ensemble. Nous sommes là depuis 3 ou 4 jours et nous voyons les dégâts qui sont faits et nous recevons des dépêches qui sont vraiment catastrophiques. Merci, Madame la Présidente.
So, as I was consulted by Mr. Rao, that we can apply here the reinforced monitoring mechanism, and as soon as report is ready after the mission, we can distribute immediately, the chair of the committee can distribute immediately this report to member states. So, can you consult us with the possible, formulation of this paragraph?
Yes, Madam Chairperson, I will try to provide to you some language for the application of the reinforced monitoring mechanism, which really applies to this case as long as Timbuktu is already for your decision inscribing the World Heritage List in danger. So it will read as follows. Decides to apply the reinforced monitoring mechanism to the property. And to, full stop? And to report back to the committee okay. The Secretary told me that it should be a separate paragraph. So this will be paragraph 11. And then we have a paragraph 12, which is the original one that we had already adopted.
So it's possible to keep two paragraphs when it is then World Heritage Center can apply this mechanism, reinforced monitoring mechanism, which after which it will be immediately send the report to the members of the committee. It's one, but we don't know when it will be this mission. It will be done when the situation on the place will permit it, and then report in any case on 37th session. So it seems to me that it's quite logical. So if there are no objection, we can adopt the paragraph 11 and 12 as amended. I see no objection, so adopted. Now we have to adopt the whole paragraph. Excuse me, it seems to me that Mali wants to take the, or now it's okay. After, okay. So now we have to adopt draft decision 36.7b.107 as amended. So adopted. Now when the Secretariat printed on new paper with the amended version, we immediately give it to the press. Mali, floor is yours.
Je vais me lever pour vous saluer. Vous remercier. Madame la Présidente, Madame la Présidente du Comité du patrimoine mondial, Monsieur le représentant de Madame la Directrice générale de l'UNESCO, Mesdames et Messieurs les membres du Comité du patrimoine mondial, honorables membres des délégués des États membres, des États partis à la Convention, je voudrais en cette nouvelle heure solennelle adresser mes sincères remerciements à tous les participants à la 36e session du Comité du patrimoine mondial et à tous ceux qui, de près ou de loin, nous témoignent leur attachement à la cause du patrimoine culturel du Mali, notamment les biens Tombouctou et le tombeau des Askia à Gao, désormais inscrits sur la liste du patrimoine mondial en péril. L'appel que vous venez de lancer en faveur d'une grande mobilisation internationale pour préserver le patrimoine culturel du Mali, patrimoine partagé par la communauté internationale, nous va droit au cœur en ces moments difficiles que traverse la République du Mali. Le Mali se réjouit de cette déclaration commune des membres du comité de créer des fonds d'urgence et au vu de la situation de crise et de menaces autour des sites, notre pays réitère une réaction spontanée et appropriée de la communauté internationale. Je saisis l'occasion pour vous annoncer que le Mali, signataire depuis le 18 mai 1961, soit un an après son indépendance, a signé la Convention pour la protection des biens culturels en cas de conflit armé, adoptée le 14 mai 1954 à La Haye, aux Pays-Bas, a, dans la situation actuelle, jugé judicieux d'adhérer le plus vite possible au deuxième protocole relatif à la Convention de 1954, adoptée le 26 mars 1999 à La Haye, aux Pays-Bas encore. Le projet de loi autorisant l'adhésion du Mali au deuxième protocole relatif à la Convention a été examiné et approuvé par le Conseil des ministres du mercredi 23 mai 2012. Ensuite, la loi y relative a été soumise à l'Assemblée nationale qui l'adopta par acclamation. Ils n'ont pas attendu, ils ont acclamé en séance plénière le 21 juin dernier. Suite à cette adoption, le processus de saisine de la Cour pénale internationale a été aussitôt enclenché par le gouvernement. Et rassurez-vous, mesdames et messieurs, les criminels seront poursuivis. Ils répondront de leurs actes, tôt ou tard. Nous attendons de l'UNESCO la mise en œuvre des dispositions pratiques que l'UNESCO lui-même vient de mettre en place avec cette déclaration. Je vous remercie du fond du cœur. Je remercie cette Assemblée. Je remercie la collaboration et la coopération internationale. Je remercie le monde entier parce que sans se donner la main, on est incapable de régler ce problème. Je vous remercie de tout mon cœur, de la part de mon gouvernement, de la part de Cheikh Modibo Diarra, chef du gouvernement, de la part du président de la République, le professeur John Kounda Traoré. Souhaitez-nous bonne chance. Le Mali a besoin de vous encore. Je vous remercie.
Dear Madam Minister, with your permission, may I speak in Russian? It will be a little bit easier for me. Please put the earphone. Уважаемые коллеги и дорогая министр культуры, я могу представить себе ваши чувства. потому что разрушение культурного наследия – это все равно, что потеря дорогих тебе людей. И мы даже, мне кажется, все здесь чувствуем себя немножко неудобно, потому что мы всей душой с вами, но у нас в руках есть только ручка, компьютер и бумага. И нету автомата в руках. А с бандитами, как известно, только ручкой и карандашом очень сложно разговаривать. И мы сегодня с вами делаем то, что мы можем, то, что в наших силах. К сожалению, международное сообщество на сегодняшний день не выработало столь же действенных мер и столь же эффективных мер, которые имеют в своих руках те, которые не считаются ни с культурным наследием, ни с жизнью людей. Против такой силы может противостоять только другая сила. И призыв к разуму не всегда приводит к положительным результатам в разговоре с этой категорией людей. Я хочу напомнить вам, что в 30-е годы был выработан пакт Рериха. Мы делали большую экспозицию в ЮНЕСКО, посвященную защите культурных памятников. И в свое время им было предложено, на основе этого была конвенция по защите культурных ценностей во время вооруженных конфликтов, что на каждом таком культурном объекте должен быть флаг с определенным знаком. Это, конечно, символ, это, конечно, не убережет ни один объект или человека от действий вандалов. Но мне кажется, это то, что может как бы сплотить людей вокруг понимания, насколько важна не только человеческая жизнь, это в первую очередь. Мы сейчас не говорим о людях, которые наверняка там есть и тоже погибли. Мы сейчас говорим только о памятниках. Поэтому еще раз позвольте выразить нам от всех членов нашего комитета глубокие соболезнования и выразить большую надежду, что в вашей стране воцарится, я думаю, что международное сообщество не останется к этому равнодушным, мир. И сегодня это наше воззвание будет отдано прессе, а завтра в центре города мы собираемся, так сказать, продемонстрировать нашу солидарность с вами и с народом Мали. Еще раз глубокий поклон и глубокие соболезнования от всех нас. Спасибо большое. But in any case, we have work ahead. So now I would like to draw attention to the item 10C, progress report on the periodic reporting exercise for Latin America and the Caribbean, the document WHC 12/36.com/10C. I give the floor to the World Heritage Center.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Well, you can imagine how difficult for me is now to take the floor and to try to explain how we manage in the performing and implementing the World Heritage Program for the periodic reporting in the region. And if you allow me, Madam Chair, I would like to address at least 2 sentences to the Minister of Culture. You know how important are the links between Latin American region and Caribbean and Africa, so you can take into consideration and please consider the support, the technical support, and all the kind of support that you can obtain from our region. That is for sure that all the experts and state party will be delighted in collaborating with Mali and with Africa as it happened previously. Thank you, Madam Chair. As the members of the committee may recall, at the 35th session of the World Heritage Committee in 2011, the members launched the second cycle of the periodical reporting for Latin America and Caribbean region and requested the state party of the region to actively participate in the process. The periodic reporting will be submitted for approval by the committee at its 37th session in 2013. This presentation provides an overview as well as provides the status of implementation of the exercise in the region. Next slide, please. After the launch of the second cycle of the exercise, 3 subregional meetings were organized. The first in Ouro Preto, Brazil, immediately after the 2012 consultative meeting on the World Heritage and Sustainable Development, celebrated in February 2012. The meeting brought together 79 participants and directors of cultural and natural heritage of the subregion, and it was instrumental in discussing the role of the World Heritage in the framework of the public national policies. In terms of the subregional advancement of the completion of the periodic reporting questionnaire, we achieved the 80% of the completeness in the section 1 of the questionnaire and the 56% in the section number 2. Next slide, please. The meeting in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, brought up 63 representatives participating and thematic working groups set up proactive subregional discussions. Next slide, please. And the subregional meeting in Zacatecas, Mexico, presented the occasion for the representative of Category 2 Center to collect suggestions, comment, and remark from the participants on which points should be given priority in the establishment of the training program and of the strategic plan of action for the future. The World Heritage Center thanks the technical and financial efforts provided by the state parties, which demonstrated a solid interest in contributing to this important exercise for the entire region, as well as the support from the UNESCO Centers Category 2 of Zacatecas and Rio de Janeiro, and thanks, of course, the support received from the advisory bodies. The meeting provided a great opportunity for local points, focal points and site managers from the region to interact at the subregional level and to meet and establish a network of professionals within each subregion. It is also the occasion for site managers and focal point to receive training and ask pertinent questions relating to development issues facing their properties, management plan, conservation plan, site boundaries, and buffer zone. Participants obtained a greater awareness of the work of the Heritage Convention and all the World Heritage-related processes, and achieved a better understanding of the periodic reporting questionnaire. As a result, significant progress has been made in completion of the questionnaire in the 3 subregional meetings. Next slide, please. A final meeting of the assessment of the exercise will be held in Santiago de Chile in December 2012, thanks to the generous offer made by the Chilean government. On this occasion, the focal point and site managers for all the LAC region, the entire region, will meet to elaborate the regional strategy and related action plan to finalize the final report to be submitted to the committee next year in 2013. Next slide, please. We have organized several meetings, and we established a very close cooperation with the GRULAC group in Paris, and we have organized before leaving to St. Petersburg on the 18th of June a meeting invited by GRULAC to recall and to remind all the deadlines for the periodic exercise in the region. Next slide, please. Next slide. 2 meetings took place in relationship with the process of the finalization of the nomination dossier of the Capacñán, the Main and Deer Road, and to harmonize all the nomination dossier. And as Colombia suggested and will invite, a meeting of the Ministry of Cultures will take place in Bogota at the end of this year when the nomination dossier will be finalized. Next slide, please. As you recall, during the discussion of the State of Conservation report, the World Heritage Center has established a very close cooperation with the Ministry of Culture of Haiti and with the Agency of Spanish Cooperation and Development, and the agency offered a generous financial contribution to finalize the conservation plan and technical support of the World Heritage experts. Next slide, please. In the case of the slave route, over the last 1 year and a half, we have organized several meetings to discuss how to move forward with an intercontinental action plan, not only a LAC action plan, and how to link the slave route project with the World Heritage Convention. The periodic reporting exercise has provided a frame to follow the discussions. A training workshop took place in Jamaica some weeks ago to discuss the concept and the processes related to feasible nomination procedures in this regard. Next slide, please. In LAC region, the Category 2 centers of UNESCO discuss their programs in the light of the general guidelines established by the Global Training Strategy, as you have already previously discussed in this session. And we took advantage, of course, on all the subregional meetings organized to update nationally or subregionally the tentative list of the state parties. Next slide. We use as well the framework of the World Heritage periodic reporting exercise to improve all the conservation plans in a very damaged, affected, or in sites that the World Heritage Committee detected some lack of skills in terms of conservation and management. We thank the government of Japan for the generous contribution to undertake the conservation plan in the case of Tiwanaku. We thank the cooperation from the Spanish Agency of Cooperation and Development in the case of Machu Picchu, and of course we are dealing as well with a very interesting project in Calakmul, a site that could be extended to as a mixed site in the following months of the year. As next slide, please. As a last activity, we would like to invite all of you, not only just the member of the LAC community, but all of you, to a very interesting discussion that will take place in Quito in October this year, to try to identify some ways, some concepts, and some reflection how to manage a World Heritage Convention and its implementation, and how can we relate that with the projects related to poverty alleviation. That means, what does it mean, World Heritage, in areas in extreme poverty. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The draft decision is in page number 5 and 6 in the English version of the document, and in page 8 of the French document. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now floor is open. Okay, Colombia. I give you the floor.
Gracias, señora presidenta.
No, I would give you the floor later or after the countries, okay? Colombia, please, floor is yours.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Queremos agradecer al centro por la información que nos han dado. En este momento quisiera, con su permiso, si pudiera darle la palabra al embajador de Chile ante la UNESCO, el señor Guillermo Echenique, para que nos comunique sobre la última reunión del segundo ciclo del informe periódico para Latinoamérica y el Caribe que se hará en Chile. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Yo daré la palabra al señor embajador de Chile. México, la palabra es suya.
Muchas gracias, señora presidenta. En primer lugar, queremos agradecer mucho nuevamente al Centro de Patrimonio Mundial y a la Unidad para América Latina y el Caribe el gran apoyo que ha dado a la región que a nosotros nos concierne, México-Centroamérica, para la culminación casi ya de este segundo ciclo del informe periódico. Tuvimos, como se señaló antes, una segunda reunión en el Centro Categoría 2 en Zacatecas, a la cual asistieron casi todos los países de la región. Hubo una primera reunión que sí quisiera yo recordar, porque en esa primera inclusive estuvieron participando como invitados especiales representantes de Cuba y de República Dominicana, y hemos seguido afortunadamente un trabajo con un impulso importante para la culminación de este informe periódico. Asimismo, quisiera yo informar a todo el comité que nosotros también tendremos en las próximas semanas una reunión con motivo de los 40 años de la Convención de Patrimonio Mundial titulado Patrimonio Mundial, Cultura y Desarrollo en América Latina y el Caribe, Turismo y Territorio, clave para el desarrollo comunitario, que se llevará a cabo del 18 al 20 de julio en la ciudad de Querétaro y en la que estamos colaborando activamente tanto el Centro de Patrimonio Mundial como autoridades federales mexicanas y estatales del gobierno de Querétaro. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, señor embajador de Chile. La palabra es suya.
Muchas gracias, señora presidenta. Agradezco a usted sinceramente y a la señora embajadora de Colombia, doña Sonia Sarmiento, la posibilidad de dirigirme al Comité de Patrimonio Mundial y a los presentes. En ese contexto, a la luz de esta celebración en la ciudad de San Petersburgo de la 36 reunión del Comité de Patrimonio Mundial, me es muy grato dirigirme a ustedes para agradecer sinceramente a la UNESCO y a la Federación Rusa las atenciones recibidas en el contexto. Asimismo, en mi calidad de embajador, representante permanente de Chile ante la UNESCO, como observador en este momento acá, para informarles que el gobierno de mi país organizará en Santiago de Chile, del 2 al 5 de diciembre del año 2012, la reunión final del ejercicio del segundo ciclo del informe periódico para la región de América Latina y el Caribe. En ese contexto, el Gobierno de Chile y el Centro de Patrimonio Mundial tienen el honor de invitar a participar a los países y expertos de nuestra región de América Latina y Caribe en el aludido evento porque es la culminación del intenso proceso de preparación de un informe de la mayor trascendencia que dará cuenta de la implementación y aplicación de la Convención del Patrimonio Mundial en América Latina y el Caribe, acerca del estado de conservación de los bienes del patrimonio mundial en nuestra región e identificará logros, tendientes y desafíos que nos lleven a elaborar un nuevo plan de acción regional 2013-2020. La reunión final del segundo ciclo del informe periódico en Chile constituye, sin dudas, un hito crucial para el logro de los objetivos propuestos en este proceso, para no solo generar una plataforma de discusión sobre la metodología del ejercicio de la elaboración del informe periódico, sino también para ubicar líneas de cooperación prioritarias bilaterales, subregionales, multilaterales y proyectos de cooperación específicos que posicionen a la región en términos del patrimonio mundial. La organización de este importante evento es un esfuerzo conjunto de Chile a través del Ministerio de Relaciones Exteriores, del Ministerio de Educación, del Consejo de Monumentos Nacionales, cuyo secretario ejecutivo, señor Emilio Lacerda, se encuentra aquí con nosotros, la Dirección de Bibliotecas, Archivos y Museos y el Consejo Nacional de Artes de la Cultura. Por lo tanto, es la expresión tangible del compromiso y alta valoración de nuestro país, tanto con la Convención del Patrimonio Mundial de la UNESCO, una de las agencias especializadas más significativas del sistema de Naciones Unidas. Y con todos ustedes, estimados amigos del Comité y de la región de América Latina, observadores, entre otros. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, señor embajador. And now I give the floor to the representative of Barbados.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wish to first thank the World Heritage Center and the Unit for Latin America and the Caribbean for the outstanding work, especially as it relates to the second reporting cycle. Also for the Ministry of Culture in the Dominican Republic, who hosted the workshop in February. Madam Chair, the point I wish to make, following on from my colleague earlier in the week, where she made reference to the Caribbean capacity building. When we met in Dominican Republic, there were 3 thematic groups formed for Mexico and the Caribbean, Mexico and Central America, South America and the Caribbean. And the main or the common theme which went across those thematic groups dealt with the historic centers. And we are aware that on an annual basis there is an excellent program offered in Havana, which deals with the historic centers and also the historic cultural landscapes. But we in the non-Spanish speaking Caribbean, we would also like to benefit from that expertise to assist us in the development of our historic centers and also our cultural landscapes. So I want to use this, this august body and this forum to make the point for similar type of technical assistance and workshops in the non-Spanish speaking Caribbean. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Colombia, please, the floor is yours.
Gracias, señora presidenta, por darme otra vez la palabra. Quisiera que nuestro experto, que fue parte de la reunión de Brasil, pudiera tomar el micrófono. Gracias.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Quería comentar que esta oportunidad del ciclo del informe periódico ha contribuido de una manera significativa, no solamente a esa revisión y mejoramiento de la información de los sitios de patrimonio mundial en la región, sino que también ha sido una oportunidad de capacitación técnica, de cooperación institucional y de reflexión sobre otros aspectos a tener en cuenta en el importante reto de manejar adecuadamente los bienes del patrimonio mundial. En ese sentido, yo también quisiera hacer un reconocimiento público al Centro del Patrimonio Mundial y a la Unidad de América Latina y el Caribe. Gracias.
Muchas gracias. Now I don't see any other speaker who wants to take the floor. ICOMOS, floor is yours.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Los organismos consultivos tuvimos la oportunidad de participar en las 3 regiones subregionales que fueron organizadas este año. La elaboración del informe periódico, como fue demostrado en el ciclo anterior y como ha sido destacado en las intervenciones hechas por las otras regiones, no es un fin por sí mismo, sino el medio para un fin mucho más amplio, que es la conservación de los sitios patrimonio mundial y la implementación de la Convención. En este sentido, el desarrollo de las declaraciones retrospectivas de valor universal excepcional y la clarificación del inventario retrospectivo serán herramientas esenciales para guiar la conservación de los sitios inscritos. Los organismos consultivos hemos recibido estas declaraciones y ahora que han sido asignados los recursos, procederemos a realizar su revisión, evidentemente en colaboración con los Estados parte. Adicionalmente, hemos desarrollado lineamientos que vemos han sido utilizados por las regiones para su elaboración. Para los organismos consultivos, la posibilidad de participar en estas reuniones es también una enorme oportunidad para vincularnos y apoyar directamente a los gestores de sitios y representantes de los Estados parte en los retos que enfrentan día a día en su quehacer. Hay que destacar que esta colaboración no está limitada a eventos específicos y estamos trabajando en mecanismos para fortalecer este diálogo a través de las oficinas regionales de UISN, de los programas y actividades regionales ejecutados por ICROM a través de su programa LATAM y las redes profesionales de comités científicos y nacionales del ICOMOS. La estrategia global hace un llamado a la creación y fortalecimiento de capacidades que rebasen únicamente consideraciones técnicas. Busca también las formas de transmisión del conocimiento ancestral, del saber hacer y de su integración a mecanismos innovadores para asegurar la conservación y gestión de patrimonio. Estos aspectos nos parecen fundamentales para nuestra región. El informe periódico de América Latina y el Caribe será un punto de partida esencial para la definición de estrategias regionales que nos permitan incrementar sinergias y fomentar una mayor articulación con otros mecanismos de la Convención, como ha sido hasta ahora la exitosa colaboración que hemos mantenido con los centros categoría 2 de Río y Zacatecas. Los órganos consultivos estamos para coadyuvar a los Estados parte, tanto dentro de nuestros mandatos que tienen que ver con patrimonio mundial, como desde aquellos que integran nociones más amplias de patrimonio. Esperamos que la colaboración y el trabajo estratégico nos permita llegar a un momento donde a través de la inversión sostenida en la creación de capacidades, en compartir el conocimiento y el saber hacer entre profesionales y comunidades, podamos caminar convincentemente hacia los objetivos de la Convención y alcanzar condiciones donde la conservación del patrimonio contribuye al desarrollo sostenible y constituye un elemento de mejora para las condiciones de vida y para la construcción de un mundo más justo. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, señora. Y ahora, now I think we can move straight to the decision. Please put the decision on the screen.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. So far, we didn't receive any formal amendments for this draft decision 36-10C.
So, as I understand, we can adopt the decision 36-10C. I see no objection. The decision is adopted. And now we can finish our session, today's session. And before you leave the room, I would say that the small cocktail is waiting for you before we start to go to the Hermitage for the Bahrain exhibition. So it's in the place where it is normally we have lunches. The buses will start at 7:15.
Administrative.
Yes, and I give the floor to Madame Rossler.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Tomorrow, the budget group will meet at 8:30, from 8:30 to 9:30 in the library, to be followed by the Bureau session. And I think you yourself have announced the item on Bahrain. Thank you.